And we're live. Hey guys, good evening and welcome to my exciting channel. We're discussing Mandela effects and the like. Thanks for joining me today as we uncover the mysteries of the Mandela effect itself and find out the true meaning of it all. We must discover what is really happening, what is really going on here, to change these things that we know and hold dear to us. And let us help others discover the meaning of the Mandela effect and how it affects them and the price of milk. Thank you. And be sure to hit the like and subscribe down below. Hey guys, hope you're having a wonderful evening, everyone. Welcome for those of you who are just joining us. We've got Brian Staveley here with us, and Sandy, DiVa, and Jeff is here. Welcome everyone to all of you in the chat. We want to do a couple shout outs first, Sandy?
Sure, I'll do shout outs. I have to go to two different chats though. I'm going to start with yours. Just give me 1 second.
Well, can I just go ahead and introduce Brian Staveley real quick?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
So Brian Staveley is a prominent figure, and he's also a friend of ours in the field of the Mandela effect. He has captivated audiences with his deep insights and his thought-provoking discussions. With a keen curiosity and unwavering dedication to unraveling the mysteries behind this phenomenon, Brian has emerged as a knowledgeable and influential voice in our community. So his engaging YouTube channel, which I suggest you guys subscribe to, is very passionate exploration of alternate realities and shifting timelines. He sparked widespread interest and fostered meaningful conversations surrounding the intricacies of our perceived reality. With his unique perspective and profound understanding of the Mandela effect, Brian Staveley continues to inspire and challenge conventional thinking, inviting us all to question the very foundations of our existence. How's that for an intro?
Very good. Thank you.
All right. So now that I talked you up, Brian, so it's been a while since you've been on our show. What you been up to since then? Since the last time you came on our show?
I mean, when was the last time? Like 3 years ago? 4 years ago?
No, it hasn't been that long, has it?
It's been a couple months. You made a little appearance on the show.
I did? Oh, did I? I don't even remember. Okay, I'm sorry. I forgot about it.
It was a little less than a year ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Not much. I mean, just living life, trying to live a happy life, and being very focused on covering the Mandela effect and other topics. And I'm sure, we'll get into all that after. And been trying to, one of the things I really like to do is organize meetups for people. And I just had basically what's like a Mandela effect meetup, at Huntington Beach a couple weeks ago. So a bunch of the guys are out there again, Call for Zero was there, Jacobian, Blue Pac-Man, myself, UTV. So I've just been trying to live a good, happy life and try to figure out what this thing is that has the name Mandela effect that is really pretty much the underlying aspect of this reality. So
awesome. Well, we're going to have lots of questions for you tonight to delve deeper into that. But before we get started, I am going to do some shout outs. I'm on Brian's channel right now. And right now we have Dean Johnson, Go Kart Bob is here, Tobin Schwing, Teresa Lynch, Oiler Greg, and Freeman's Cryptoverse. And then over on my channel, for those of you that are new here, we are multi-streaming on my channel and Brian MacFarlane as well. What's your new channel name, Brian? Brian.
Well, it's called, my channel name is called The Brian MacFarlane Effect.
There you go. That's the new channel. On my channel, in my chat, let's see, we have Tommy Tell the Truth, Neo the One, Angel Baby Carson. Let's see, a lot of Brian's. Spirit Seekers Paranormal, Red Storm, Blue Pac-Man 13 is here, Sue Finelli, Cleveland Steve, Unidoc Trianated. Unidoc Trianated. Sorry about that.
It's unindoctrinated, but that took me so long to say that.
Unindoctrinated.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian.
His name's Ryan, and he took that word and kind of changed it a little.
That's pretty good though.
It is pretty
Pushing
cool,
button-
right? I like it. He's
Yeah.
a cool guy.
Pushing button 62. Angels don't fall. Let's see. TJ Trusty is here. Daniel Wiley. Call for Zero. Davin Good. There's a lot of people here. It's good to see all of you. The King. Robert Humphrey. Ganabal. RT909. Shelby Norwood. Cleveland Steve. Boston Guy 51. New Edge Designs. Gerald Neal is here. Good to see you. I already said Cleveland Steve. Roman Solaris. And I think that's it. I think I
Sandy,
got
I think you got majority of the audience over there on your channel watching, so that's good too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right now we have about 50 people watching total.
Yeah, guys,
So
please.
I didn't want to confuse people. So when I made the promos, I told them Sandy's channel because it's so small, she really needs to build it up.
Yeah, she
But
does need to build it up.
I've come on your channel many times and promoted it. I didn't want to tell my audience, hey, go here and be split up. So everybody's all in the same chat, but definitely everybody make sure you sub Brian's channel as well, if you're not already subbed.
Which we will definitely put in the chat at the end of the show. We're going to put Brian's channel in my chat and my channel in Brian's chat at the end of the show. So
yeah, cool.
You want to get right into the interview questions?
I'm ready whenever you guys are.
All right.
For it, Brian.
Okay. Well, sure. We can go ahead and begin.
I did send it to me, you, and Jeff together, so that way we can all see it in one place.
Okay. Yep. All right. Well, so the first question that we have here is, when did you first become aware of the Mandela effect, Brian?
Well, I don't know an exact date like a lot of people do, but I know a probably 3 or 4 month time frame, and that would be at the very end of 2014 or very early in 2015. Right around that time is when I first became aware of it.
Okay, I do want to say something before we go on.
Yeah.
Jeff, can you do me a favor and stay in Brian's chat and write down any questions you see for Brian? Because at the end of the interview part, we will be asking questions from the chat for Brian.
Okay.
So I'll look at questions in my chat. If you can write down questions in Brian's chat, that would be really helpful. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. So question
Did you want me to build upon that and get into what it was, or did you want to just go to the next?
Go right ahead. I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
Well, it was the Berenstain Bears, Berenstain, and I understood the concept. I didn't doubt myself at all. So when it was presented to me, I had a strong memory of the Berenstain Bears because I used to get the books in the book club, like a lot of us did when we were in school. So I'm not just going to let people try and gaslight me and tell me I don't know my memories, but I didn't really dive. As you guys know, I talk about a lot of topics, right? Mandela effect wasn't the first, and I was really deep in some other stuff at the time. So it took me a few months to really get into it until some bigger things came along. And I know that's somewhere in the question, so we'll save that.
Yeah. So why did you decide to start speaking publicly about the Mandela effect, in addition to Flat Earth, 9/11, and other related topics?
Well, so you want me to start kind of chronologically, why I originally started speaking on the air about anything?
However you want to present it is fine.
Yeah, well, and there could be 50 million different opinions just in this chat on what happened on 9/11, and I'll try and keep it okay for the channel, but it's pretty obvious that the official story we're given is absolute complete nonsense. So once I came to that realization, which was kind of by accident, I stumbled onto a movie on Netflix in 2010 and showed a very contradicting view to what the media was showing, and then I dove all in because I felt betrayed by the media, by the government. Mostly by the government, and not by the media until later in my journey. I realized that, but and I saw how people were manipulated to live in fear. So I that's why I started my show. I started podcasts and taking calls on the air and everything back in 2010. I was really as heavy as I'm into the Mandela effect now. I was that with 9/11 for a good 4 or 5 years, but looking into other things as well as Apollo, the space station, the shape of the Earth, and the reason why I started making Mandela stuff. Well, I took a break at the end of 2014, right around this time that I started looking at flat Earth and Mandela effect. I took a break from doing shows. I just started posting a lot on social media, particularly Facebook, and I was doing my research and stuff. So initially what happened, and this is interesting because this actually ties into you, Brian. What initially happened is in 2017, after about a 2-year break, I saw a lot of people pushing all sorts of fear narratives based off of rabbit trails that I knew were bullcrap regarding 9/11. So I wanted to try and help people out, set them straight a little bit. And I came out, I started doing some 9/11 shows as recorded podcasts and putting them on my YouTube channel. It lasted for a little bit, but then they just started hitting me with strikes with everything.
I have to ask you something, Brian, because you mentioned like the sort of the you were talking about sort of the breadcrumbs that have been fed to us along the way. Like it was basically like follow the white rabbit kind of thing. And that 9/11 was very interesting. At first, everybody believed it. It was like, whoa, this is like. But then, like, so many people started questioning it as it got got closer to the around the time the Mandela effect really kind of. A lot of people were questioning things. I never really fully investigated 9/11, but it's just weird how like you saw there's other times in history where planes have hit buildings. This is not the first time a plane has hit a building, and all of a sudden you see the building come crumbling down. It doesn't make any sense to me.
And it shouldn't make sense to you because it's complete nonsense.
Wasn't there videos where like they laid layers of dynamite inside the building or something?
Yeah, but I am very you got to be careful with any of the videos that you are allowed to see about what might have been going on the towers on that day. And that's what I'm talking about. Different rabbit trails to lead you down as long as you're pushing the fear of thousands of people dying in New York City, which I think is completely nonsense. I mean, you just check out the hospitals on 9/11 in New York City. I can show you multiple hospitals that are empty, nothing going on. People whistling Dixie. So something ain't right. Something ain't right.
Yeah, when things don't add up like that, that's sort of like the Mandela effect. When things aren't adding up, you have to question a little bit. You do, and
you mentioned the planes,
like
right?
Any doctor, right? If you have a doctor that tells you, hey, you have like a month to live or something, what are you going to do? You're going to believe that doctor, or are you going to seek a second opinion? You see?
Yeah, you're going to seek a second opinion. But what you said about the planes, it doesn't make any sense. So how could that happen? Well, because what they showed us of the planes was fabricated footage. And what does that mean? Well, that means the media is complicit in fabricating lies of enormous proportions. And no matter what you determine the ultimate conclusion was on that day, that event's been used to manipulate all sorts of different people in all different ways and for worldwide agendas.
Yeah, speaking of which, did you see that video, Brian, where it's all the same thing? Like all of them are using the same script. Did you see that video?
Oh yeah, I've seen the news one where all the anchors, it's like 30 news anchors on the screen all repeat the same line.
All saying the same thing.
These people are paid liars, okay? And just because I'm telling you the media is a lie doesn't mean you have to believe the 180 opposite of it either. But you should always be skeptical. And I default to the position of everything they're telling me is a lie until proven otherwise. That's where I stand, because everything I looked at, not just 9/11, from Apollo to the ISS to a lot of these other events that they use to scare people. I'm going to be a little careful. I don't want to get you in trouble here. But it all turned out to every time you pull it apart, it's not like they fake part of it. They fake it all the way because it's fabricated.
Yeah, well, you saw that video. I don't know if it was a fact or not, but there was this video where they were two people were carrying one person that was like hobbling along while they're videotaping, and then in the off takes, or what do you call it, the outtakes, they were just walking fine normally right after that. So explain that one, and then you see on Craigslist of all places, because now that's pretty much the underground for a lot of other activities. But but on Craigslist you see these ads for crisis actors. I saw it. I was like, okay, is this for real, or is this just somebody looking for a laugh? I don't know what to believe.
And it's for real. But you know what? You know why people will sign up and do that and continue to do that, and why federal agents will be involved and police departments and all these other things that would obviously have to be involved. It's because they're running drills. They're not really just mass murdering people. Nobody's going to go along with it. And then you're going to open yourself up for all sorts of real investigation, wrongful death lawsuits by real people. That's why, and it's people, like they use Alex Jones, right, to try and scare people, from speaking truth. Like, oh, Alex Jones got sued for $1 billion or something ridiculous, dude. Let me tell you something, because people have used that against me over the years. Well, if you're wrong about this, Brian, and of course I could be wrong, but if you're wrong about this, then these people could sue you. And the last thing they're going to want to do is expose any of their trickery in the court of law. Like, they're not going to do that, Yeah. So.
Yep. Yeah. So
it's a big rabbit hole, dude. That 9/11 rabbit hole, man. It's so layered. It's a very, very, very deep topic. So I would just say for people that say, well, this guy's going too far with what he's saying. I understand why you would say that, but have you ever looked into what I'm actually saying? About how far the fakery goes and the lack of occupancy in the tower, the reasons why there was such a lack of debris is because they never put all that stuff in there that you assumed was in there. Where's the thousands of miles of phone cord, thousands of safes, desks, refrigerators? Where was it all?
No, but here's the thing. This is what I worry about with the oncoming. Actually, it's already here. The AI. So what I mean is that in the future, you're going to see a lot of deep fakes and things like explosions going off that aren't real. And it's like, okay, well, that's what we're made to believe. That's what we're seeing. Before, it was like, okay, well, maybe it looked like something. You know how Godzilla, you could tell, was a puppet. Okay, now it looks so advanced. It's so realistic looking. So, yeah, that's what I worry about. So the next question, let's see. Did we go on? Did we do number 2? Yeah, we did number 2.
Well, yeah,
just to finish it up. Just to finish that up, though. That brought me to the Mandela effect, because in 2017, I came out very vocal about 9/11. And then what actually happened, Brian, is I got really deep into the Mandela effect. Like, even though I got hit a couple of years before, I started really getting into it and really being affected by a lot of things and done a lot of research into it, thanks to people like you and Moneybags and Sandy and Dan and everybody else that was already doing videos. But like, I actually, you might not even remember that. Well, I know you're going to remember it when I bring it up, Brian, but we are literally 1 week away to the day 5-year anniversary of the first time I came on YouTube. And that was on your show 5 years ago.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I can't believe
That's
that.
crazy.
And that's how I started making Mandela content. Now I was, going to make content anyways, but to break me into YouTube, I came on your roundtable about 3 or 4 weeks in a row. And then shortly after that, I said, I need to do my own thing. And I interviewed Paul, my co-host James, and then Gloria. You helped me broadcast that stream. And then that's when I basically started doing content on YouTube. And, a lot of Mandela Effect content, probably, I'd say primarily, but I was covering other things as well.
Well, yeah. Speaking of Gloria, have you had the chance to talk to her recently at all? Well, how's she doing?
Every once in a great while, we'll exchange a couple text messages, but maybe it's only once or twice a year. The last time was probably several months ago, but she's doing good. She's she's married now. She's doing well.
That's great. That's great. Now, occasionally, in the past, we used to do like skits. I'd like to get back and maybe into doing some of those in the near future or whatever.
We need some comedy. Comedy's good, dude.
Yeah. I know. Like, you got your thing,
especially after what's been going on the last couple of years. People are stressed out, and rightfully so. Comedy's good.
Oh gosh, yes.
I'm down for that. That's my specialty.
Yes, exactly. And Brian, you're pretty good with the music. Like, you're awesome at doing music.
Hey, you know what else is awesome? Captain Kirk is awesome because he was also at my meetup. Not this last one, but several months ago when we did one at HP. He was there with the rest of us as well. He's a cool guy, man. Did you see him? He got up there and he was singing Coolio karaoke. It was a good time.
I did see it.
Hey, give me a few drinks. I'll get the courage.
Yeah.
Anyway, so where are we at in the
Jeff.
questions?
Jeff's up. Go ahead, Jeff.
Jeff, go ahead, Jeff.
All right, Brian, what was the first ME that made you realize this was more than just a trending YouTube topic? And what are your top 3 anchor MEs?
Perfect. So even though most people would categorize this as probably just a trending YouTube topic, I mean, the Berenstain Bears is huge for me still, even though it's just the Berenstain Bears, Berenstain, like, so it was pretty significant to me, like I said. But if we really want to know what really made me say, whoa, I really need to look into this, the next phase of that awakening is a couple things I'm going to tie together. So geography, particularly South America, Cuba, and the orientation of the Panama Canal due to the South America shift. That is ridiculously absurd to me. And right away, I already understand the concept of the Mandela effect. So you're not going to tell me it has to do with different map projections or fake images or anything like that, because if you can pull out a globe that's sitting in your basement for 30 years and the land masses are going to be in the new position. So that was huge for me. And the JFK assassination. Those kind of hit me at the same time.
Well, speaking of JFK, wasn't there like new video footage released or something recently?
Dude, there's like a couple years ago. There's like 13 different angles of it. I've done a video on it. Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, with the power of the AI, I guess you could like take all the different angles into account, and I'm sure you'd be able to tell exactly where that bullet came from.
Yeah. But there's another part to the question. Right? You wanted to know my top 3?
Yeah.
So you said top 3 anchor memories, right? Because if I said top 3, I can't, even though Black Tom is probably my biggest, we never knew about it, so it's not really an anchor, right?
Right.
So I would have to say Ed McMahon.
Definitely.
Sure. And I mean, we could go with Mr. Rogers and Mirror Mirror. We could go with C-3PO. We could go with Volkswagen, the orientation of the logo. I mean, those would be like right there, dude. You're not going to convince me that the Volkswagen logo always had that break in it. I owned a 97 Jetta GT. It was my first brand new car I ever bought off the lot. I used to love that car. I would wash it all the time, order parts for it. And that emblem has changed. And as we know, it's changed on many automobiles. So if I would have happened to own a Ford or a Kia, I mean, those that would be one of my biggest ones. But yeah, those are huge for me, dude. Yeah, I mean, I could go on all day and give you a list. I'll just shut up for a minute because I know you wanted to.
Yeah, I agree. Those are all huge ones. The Ed McMahon one drives me crazy. I remember that so clearly.
And again, the thing with my neighborhood too, but I don't know, is that an anchor effect? That's probably more of a personal thing, which we'll talk about later. So
I would call it an anchor.
Well, tell everyone again. So for those of you who are new to the Mandela effect, what does Mr. Rogers sing now? Or what do you remember him singing?
All right. Well, all right.
I'll the neighborhood.
Yeah, I'll phrase it for people that are new to it. So Mr. Rogers used to come through the door every day, and what did he sing? It's and then just finish it in your head or sing it out loud, people. And I already know every person that's heard this sing, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Well, he's never said that now. Now it's always been this neighborhood. And as we watched, Brian, and this was around the time when we were kind of collaborating a little bit more or whatever. We all watched as, first off, Tom Hanks has announced he's going to play him. We already know Tom Hanks is Mr. Mandela effect, right? More Mandela effects around that guy than anything. Yep. And then what did they do? They go ahead and name the movie what the song used to be before it was Mandela affected.
Yeah, but now he's Mandela affected in more ways than one. Like you said, he's in the Forrest Gump scene. He says, what does he say on the park bench?
Life is like a box of chocolates. Life was like a box of chocolates.
Correct.
And there's significant residue on some of these, like that one and the Mirror Mirror one. Those movies in many languages that they're dubbed over in Spanish, maybe not Spanish, but German, Italian, Russian. They still say it the old way because it's a different audio track, so it's not Mandela effect.
Well, let me say something too about that. Let me add to that. So, do you know the anyone out there has kids? Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood has residue because those are the creators behind Mr. Rogers, And
Yep.
they, in that introductory, they sing "It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood."
Yep. Same people that own the rights, same music, same company that owns it. And they
Same,
sing it the
similar
old way.
characters.
It's got a different melody to it, like a different beat. Same lyrics, so that it used to be. And again, with the Mandela effect, for people that don't know what it is, when there's a Mandela effect, the official version of something changes, and it changes retroactively all the way back through time. Yet most other instances of everything representing it remain the same. That's what we call residue. So if somebody does a drawing of something, somebody has a tattoo, somebody does a painting, somebody does a parody, a cover song, that remains. The official thing is just what changes.
Yes, exactly. It's like it changes, like you said, retroactively in past, present, and future. And like you feel like something's not right, you know? Like a merging of realities. I don't know what exactly it is.
What gets me is how is everybody not questioning this stuff? Like, it should be so obvious at this point.
No,
It's
no,
ridiculous.
it's just they're programmed. Whoever the people are programmed to say, it's just my poor memory, that sort of
That's
thing.
awful, and
And they blow it off.
this is one of the most one of the biggest aspects of most amazing parts of this is how people just blow it off like that. Especially, again, I've been doing this a long time, and I don't just mean Mandela effect. Like you guys have been doing a long time too. I'm just saying this whole thing, 13 years, and I've come across a lot of people I thought was so highly intelligent when it comes to analyzing this world in many ways and this reality. And then when it comes to the Mandela effect, they just completely want to throw their senses away, doubt themselves, and go along with the narrative you get when you Google the Mandela effect, and it tells you it's a bunch of people misremembering. It's really suspect for anybody listening to this. You can disagree, or you can say we reach and we call too many things Mandela effects and on, or whatever you want to say. But you have to be honest and look at the articles after listening to a show like this, and you're going to see a couple trends. You're going to see one thing that's always consistent. They never even mention the word residue, which people like Sandy come out every night and show tons of physical evidence, the things we're talking about that represent reality and the way it used to be. All these articles leave you in this place where you think it's just a memory game.
But the other thing is,
how disingenuous is that, though? I mean, that should tell you right there. Whoa.
Well, speaking of disingenuous, I think it's a little disingenuous of, I'm sorry to say this, but the people we're hosted on right now, they tend to block or shadow ban sometimes videos that are important like these,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We're just not even seen by the numbers. People would rather, or the creators would rather people watch people putting on makeup. I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm more fascinated with the ME than anything else. I mean, for the most part, yes.
There's a lot of fascinating things, but for me, this really trumps them all. I mean, it's amazing what's happening, and I know we're going to get into theories and stuff more in a bit, but just to throw it out there, I don't think any of this is accidental or coincidental.
Yeah, Sandy, I believe you're up next, right? Are you up next?
No, you are. I just sent an updated list with the names in front, so you guys stop asking.
And maybe after the next question, I'll give you a thorough answer, and you can just give me you can give me 2 minutes to go fill my coffee after the next question. Just need
I believe you've already answered this one for the most part, Brian. But are there any other theories or are there any theories that you feel are not the reason our reality is changing? Like, if so, what led you to this conclusion?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I got a list. So when I say this, I got to stress this all the time. This is just my take on a theory on the Mandela effect. It's not any more valid than anybody that disagrees with my theory. Like, I just disagree with these certain theories, and I'll tell you why. But of course, there could be something I'm missing. Many pieces I'm missing, things I'm not thinking about. But I'll go down the list of what I don't think it is. I don't think that we're jumping timelines. And I don't think that we came from one Earth to another, or and I'm not dismissing what people experienced, such as the Sagittarius to Orion shift. I'm not dismissing the idea completely out the window that there could be different timelines. But for me, that cannot be the cause of the Mandela effect for many reasons. One, if we're seeing the Mandela effects because we came from a different place, be it a timeline or a different Earth or whatever it is, we'd all see the same exact Mandela effects, and we don't. We know we don't. We see a very high percentage of the same exact ones, but not the same ones across the board. Now, again, we could have had a timeline jump or whatever, but since we've been here, this reality has to be fluid in order for this to work for me. Also, if we came from another location and we came here, and that's why we see all the changes, well, that means everybody in the entire world all came here, because everybody, as we know, is Mandela affected. They all have the memories that we have, not on everything, but on enough things to know that they're all here and they're all affected by it. And another thing for me that doesn't work with those ideas, we get the rest. Why is all the residue here? The residue shouldn't be here at all. If we came from somewhere else where things were different and then we came here, why would any of the residue be here? That doesn't work. Yeah, go ahead.
So I believe residue is solely created by other people's memories. Even on packaging and things like that, the people who created the packaging have our memories. And I think that's how residue is created.
But what about the stuff that is the residual that predates the change, like, hundreds of years of newspaper archives, for instance, on Bible changes? Why would that be here? And why, you know what I mean?
No, I understand what you're saying. I think very fluidly, we are constantly shifting timelines, different realities, constantly. And as a matter of fact, and I'd love to get your reaction to it, I'm trying to put together, I have a theory of how we went from Sagittarius to Orion. And I have evidence to support my claim, but it's going to take a while to put together. Especially
I have evidence. I have evidence that supports your claim as well. Did you know that?
We need to talk after the show then.
So again, I'm not dismissing the Sagittarius to Orion thing. I just think that this reality that we're in is fluid and we're here and this is where everything's changing. But I definitely want to hear more on your ideas on it. But the thing I wanted to tell you is, for people that aren't familiar, a lot of people remember the Earth being located in the Sagittarius arm of the galaxy, and now it's on the Orion spur. Now, what's really interesting, now, whether you want to believe the stories, if for anybody listening, there's people on all different sides of the conversation here. It doesn't matter whether you want to believe the stories of where we're located, whether you want to believe NASA or not, or anything like that. You guys all know my take. The fact is, it does seem like there was a change in the information. And I didn't dig this up. Somebody on Facebook did it and tagged me or whatever, and I put it in a video. There's a time in 2017. If you go in the Wayback Machine, and this is in my video with the link, we can get it some other time, but I do have the video. I don't have the link handy. But if there's a date around 2017-ish where if you go in the Wayback Machine and look at this certain page on NASA's documentation, it's talking, a whole bunch of stuff. But in the paragraph, it talks about the Earth being located at the Sagittarius, on the Sagittarius arm. But then on top of that, if you use the Wayback Machine and you just move it forward like a year, you'll find that exact same article with nothing changed in it other than one word. And Sagittarius now says Orion. So I think that's pretty interesting. Now, is that because their documentation changed? I would say probably not, because if their documentation was going to change, it should have changed a long time ago, because most people experienced that effect way before 2017. So what I think it is the change might have happened and now they're trying to cover it up.
I agree. Also, now this is one of the pieces of my presentation. The headline is "Scientists are baffled. There's a chunk of Sagittarius arm missing."
Really?
A literal chunk of the Sagittarius arm is missing, and they don't know what happened to it.
Now, what I would be interested in, because they do float out so many ridiculous stories, is can we see if there are actual people that we might know, or you can find that are used to being very well known at observing the sky, and have these independent people noticed changes in the orientation. That would be something that would be real interesting for me as a follow-up.
Yeah, if we can find, if anyone, if you know people, that'd be great, because I don't know anyone.
Yeah.
But if you can find people, or if any of you in the chat have been watching Sagittarius arm, please let us know.
That is something I wish I did more when I was little, and I wish I grew up paying more attention to the sky, because I do feel it's a very important aspect of this reality. And I really would wish I had better knowledge of that type of stuff. I really do. It's one of the few things where I'm like, man, I wish I would have really learned more about, real astronomy and astrology and things like this. But I don't, unfortunately. So I'm not the guy to tell you the orientation, if it's changed or not,
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Is that are those the only ones you don't subscribe to?
Oh, no. I'll keep going. No, I'll keep going, but we should do a show sometime where we just kind of really throw it out there with some theories and bounce some ideas around with different people. I'm not against the idea. That's just why, for me, I don't think it seems to work, but maybe you can, you can explain it better to me. For me, I also don't believe it's CERN, D-Wave computers, or we live in a simulation. Now, can I disprove all of those? No, especially the simulation one. I know a lot of people like that. Can I completely take that off the table? No. But can you say my point of view of why I don't believe these things might be sort of biased? Sure, but I'm going to lay it out anyways. I think the people that are controlling this realm, they do not want you to know where you are. They don't want you to know what this reality is, and they do not want you to know that the supernatural is real. So they will do anything to obfuscate from that, to hide that, or if you had no. So the first thing they want to do is tell you that false memory, blah blah blah. So you think this is dumb. But if you're going to say to yourself, well, there's no way they're going to convince me Ed McMahon didn't work for Publishers Clearinghouse. There's something here to look at. And what do we see every time there's a new wave of people? They all think that it's CERN because they're pointed in that direction. I think that's a misdirection. So if you are going to believe that there's changes to this reality, it's these men and their machines and their beautiful science that's doing it. And I think that that's nonsense. And people that have lied to us about a lot of other agendas are all on board with pushing these ideas. For that reason, I don't believe it. And also, one more thing is some of these Mandela effects seem to have a very coded message or a very obvious message, a spiritual message, personal message. There seems to be too much intricacy into the Mandela effect for me to think that it's like set off by a machine worldwide and then all these things. Sure, could some brand change and names change from like randomness of a something like that? Yeah. But go ahead, Brian. I know you're kind of a fan of the simulation thing, right?
Well, kind of. I don't like to think that we could be NPCs. I think most people would not rather be called out as an NPC. You would get them very frustrated if you attempted to do so.
Yeah.
But I wanted to point out something. That there was a movie, I think it was in the 80s or 90s. It was called They Live.
Yep.
And what you just
Mandela
described to
affected.
me. Yeah,
Yes,
it is Mandela affected. And the way you described it to me, how all those news anchors, everybody in the streets, pretty much you had to put on those goggles, those sunglasses, to be able to see through the layer of reality that was in place. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
It could be. I can't write any of these off. I'm passionate about what I believe and people want to know, and we're still going to get there. I still haven't told you what I think it is, but go ahead, Sandy.
Yeah. Oh no, I was just going to say, I don't think CERN is causing it, but I do think it's amplifying it. Whatever's causing this, I think CERN amplifies it, because I will say I noticed distinct changes in the amount and like severity of Mandela effects I find when that machine is turned on. Like it slows down a bit when it's off, and when it's turned on, I'm hit with a ton of stuff.
And not to mention, I from what I've noticed, you get the ringing in the ears a lot of times.
Yeah, but I don't think they're causing it by any means. See, my thing is, I don't have one. I think there's there are multiple things that are creating this. I don't think it's one thing. I think it's everything from God to timeline to CERN amplifying it. I don't think one thing is doing this, but the only thing I don't subscribe to is simulation. That's the only one that I can't be on board with.
Sandy,
I'm not on board either.
Sandy, but you don't know how valuable you are when it comes to the Mandela Effect community, how much time and effort you have put in to help us all. And I think she deserves a big round of applause, guys, for really, really doing all that, giving her all. not to mention that, but also, like you have an uncanny ability to manipulate photos and stuff like that to help us
Wait,
see.
don't say that. Wait, you don't say manipulate, because I don't manipulate photos.
No, I'm
Right.
Don't say that.
no. I'm talking.
Terrible way to put it.
No. What I'm talking about is so we can see the way it was supposed to be in the first place,
He's
how it
talking
was
about
before.
he's talking about the purposeful Photoshop. That's what he's
Yes,
talking about.
purposeful Photoshop. No, we're not making edits to
She
reality.
she does some nice cropping. That nice cropping job.
Yes.
No. Like, for example, Snow White. Like, I will color. There's 3 different memories on Snow White's puff sleeves, and I'll color Snow White the 3 different colors and ask people what they remember, and then the residue is untouched. But I will Photoshop so people can visually see the differences and choose their reality. Basically, that's what he's referring to. I do
Yes, that's
not
what I was referring
manipulate
to.
residue. Oh my gosh.
No, the
Don't say
residue is
that.
real. The residue is real. Thank you, Gerald, for what you just said there. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, Teresa's in our chat as well. She's big in the community as well. She has the Facebook group that she's got going on. That we've been a part of 5 years now, right, guys? 5 years.
Yeah.
Long time. Yep, I've known you guys 5 years almost to the day, Brian. Like I said, or I probably, I might have even known you before I hopped on your show, maybe for a little bit. I'm sure I was watching your videos a little bit. So, but I met you 5 years ago to the day almost, and I don't remember which one you guys keep. I skimmed through the video a little bit. That was me. I saw I was on there. You were on there. That dude Keith was on there. I think Gloria was on there. Meegs was on there. Couple people I didn't recognize. It was old school, man. And what's funny is that's not even really the old school. Like I tell people all the time, like I'm not the first one. I'm like a second wave of content creators, like people like you and Dan and Moneybags and Photo Helix and Sandy, and a lot of you guys are around 2 years before me,
No,
can't be.
Yeah.
When did you start?
Right.
I started in 2018. When did you start?
I started in 2017.
Oh, okay. I thought you started in 2016.
No. 2016 was my wake up. It's hard to use the word wake up. I know, because wake up is associated with like typically like ascension belief or whatever. But no, I'm not into that. Now I'll say that I woke up to the Mandela effect. How's that? Back in August of 2016. That was when I did it for me.
So we're still talking theories, but before I tell you what I think it is, can I go fill my coffee?
Yes, go take
sure.
a break and do a shout out.
Perfect. You give a shout out. You got almost 80 people in your chat, Sandy. I'll be right back in like 3 minutes, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, there's 107 total watching.
Jeff, do you want to do a shout out in Brian's chat?
Give me a minute. I'll be right back.
All right, I'll do my chat first. So currently, if I miss you, I'm sorry. Just say hi at the bottom. I have Larry Lee, Gerald Neal, Davin Good, Pyroxidine Oxide, The King, Artsy909, Call for Zero. I'm going to try it. Unindoctrinated. Is that right? James in America, Pushing Button 62. Let's see. Crypnotics here. Carrie Skates. New Edge Designs. I don't want to repeat names. Let's see. Adam for Christ is here. Robert Owens. Caesar Rodriguez. I remember the Naicus is here, but it's Michelle, aka Naicus. Mr. Bad Gamer. Let's see. Joe Schmo.
Hey, Jeff.
Welcome. Ryogami and
Jeff, are you there?
is here. Ed Hen's here. Spirit Seekers Paranormal. Shifty Eye Shady. We also have so many people. Jacobian's here. Welcome. Red Storm. Lost in Space. I hope I'm not missing anybody. Zal Moxis. Did I pronounce that right? I'm sorry if I didn't. Let's see. I think we also have a few other people. Mustard Seed of Faith is here. John Nada was here. John Nada had to go. Let's see. I said, Rock E. Shepherd is here. Let's see. It's moving. So, guys, I'm not used to it moving this fast. I'm sorry.
I think we kind of talked about the one with the coded message.
No, I don't think we did.
Yeah, Jeff, do you want to ask the next question?
No, I'm back whenever.
Go for it, Jeff.
Are we gonna wrap up the theories or?
Yeah. Yes, you're gonna do that first.
Oh,
Okay.
So what about the dead theory, where people believe that we died in 2012 or something? Have you heard about that one?
Yeah, I've heard about it. I never even really remember to bring that one up. I don't know. That one never really resonated with me.
It didn't really resonate with me either.
So I don't really, I don't pay too much attention to it. For me, dude, what I think this is, I'll get into it because I know we have a lot of questions, but I hope you guys planned on a long night anyways. You got my motive mouth going. I personally think it's the creator. Now, when I say creator, that could, whether it's what people perceive as a god of a spiritual and supernatural realm, that's what I lean to. But for people that think it's a simulation, that would work with the creator behind the keyboard as well, but I think it is the person or entity that, created this realm. I do think there's a little bit of tug of war, but I think the changes, especially when we see things like land masses or anatomy changes, for me, that can't be coming from anywhere other than God. Not everybody uses the same word, but that's what I'll say. And if you look at the Mandela effect, again, let's just say, and we'll talk about the Bible in a bit, but with the exception of the Bible changes, because those greatly offend some people, what has the Mandela effect really done that's so harmful? Like, doctors aren't killing people on the operating table because they don't know where the organs are. People aren't falling out of the sky when they fly airplanes because the pilots and the mechanics. So they're taking some sort of update to their consciousness to roll along with these new things and have everything work in this reality. So I do think the messages are coming from the creator. And to tie it back to the Bible, for the people that say, well, why does the Bible have so many blasphemous type things in it? Well, I think a lot of them are warnings, like Matthew 18:20, which I talk about a lot. Obviously, the lion and the lamb changing to the wolf certainly seems like a warning. And what if the creator is pointing out that maybe people should not idolize the book, and the word of God is actually in their heart and not written on ink and paper, and we need to learn to separate from this material realm, or at least not idolize it so much, and become more spiritual. And on top of it, I think the Mandela effect as a whole is like a training ground for wherever we're going next. And I also think that although I think the changes are caused from the good side, the updates that people take sometimes when you're trying to awaken them to this, and most times it's cognitive dissonance, right? It's self-doubt, but sometimes they have a very crazy reaction, like that piano player, for instance, at the piano bar. I know some of you guys saw the video I did on that. And it seems like their consciousness is almost like possessed for a short time. And I think that's coming from the other side, so people do not wake up to the Mandela effect. And then I think the power that the other side has is the media has their back, and the AI-generated articles and backstories that we see, because I do believe a lot of that is that, and that's why none of it's ever made any sense. I think that's all coming from the other side. And if you have any questions on that, I'd be glad to answer.
Guys, remember, if you have questions for Brian at the end of the show, put a capital Q, colon, and then your question, so it's easy for us to save them. All right, Jeff, you're up with the next question.
All right. Brian, do you believe some Mandela effects have a hidden or coded message? And if so, can you explain this further and give some examples?
Sure. Who will save your soul? Now saying who will save your souls in most instances in that song. Yeah. City of Angels being City of Angels. You get down on my knees and pretend to pray. Now begin to pray. How's it all fit together? Well, it certainly seems to be some spiritual message in some regards. At the same time that the Bible's changing, it's telling you that the wolves in sheep's clothing. I mean, Jesus is no longer the lion. He's a wolf. The millennial reign of Christ is going to be a wolf. I mean, and it's crazy that people aren't more taken aback by this,
Right.
I think there's a lot of messaging in these Mandela effects, for sure, dude. 100%. Yeah,
I agree with all of that. I actually
Brian,
get people with
Jeff.
that City of Angel one all the
Am I up
time.
next?
You are
well,
next,
how about
Brian.
what about the Billy Joel as well too? Instead of "Son, will you play me a melody?" It's "Play me a memory," and we're talking
Yeah.
about the Mandela effect and people's memories, and you know what I mean. It's like it's pretty, it's obviously, that's what I'm saying. It's not coincidence,
Right.
it's not accidental where things just shifted and there's no rhyme or reason to it. I'm not ruling out that some of them couldn't be that, but there's so many that are clearly, it's like a puzzle that we're meant to figure out.
Well,
Right.
that's where kind of like where we're leading up to next, Brian. So, do you believe there's a common thread or like an attribute that's shared amongst the Mandela effects or by those affected?
Can you define that a little more, like a common thread in what aspect? Because there's such a large variety of Mandela effects in every topic
Well, like
and
for
avenue of life.
those who are affected by the Mandela effect, is there a common thread amongst us? In other words,
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're ready to question reality and trust our senses, and we're ready to question it on such a deep level. And never mind what we were told what this reality is. I think that's what most of it is, and I think that we are people that are very spiritual in nature, even if we don't talk like that or admit it yet. And for me, I see it bringing a lot of people closer to the creator. And it's funny because people say, "Oh, Brian, you're causing division with the Mandela effect." Are you kidding me, dude? We're trying to wake people up over here,
yeah,
and
it's more of the red, like the red pill in your picture there. You're giving people the red pill, pretty much.
Yeah, man. Why would you not want to talk about the most fascinating thing of all times? I mean, we're sitting here and just watching. It's crazy. I mean, Brian, I could walk in a grocery store. I give this example all the times. I could lock 100 people in there and ask them what the witch, the queen, says in the mirror in Snow White, and 100 of them are going to tell me mirror, mirror. But it's never been that in this reality. And then you can watch people then try, when you tell them it's never been that. Oh, it's like they're completely running the script, man. I must have just misremembered. Oh, but for people that are maybe just tuning in or not that into this topic, where's the variation of all these things? So in Isaiah 11:6, the lion will lay with the lamb is now the wolf. Well, there's plenty of other animals in the Bible. Where's all the animal people talking about the giraffe and the lamb or the platypus and there's no mixture of it at all. And not only that, why is the percentage damn near 100% of something that's never existed in this reality? Yet we can show all sorts of physical residue going back as far as like 800 years with lion and the lamb residue.
Exactly. To me, that's all the proof you need.
And the thing is, Brian, at least you haven't been scared or timid at all in sharing this with people either.
No. And part of that would probably be because I was right out the gate with 9/11, but obviously the way I came out with 9/11 for many years, me coming out with this, people already think I'm crazy around me. Let them think what they're going to think. I'm going to come out.
Let them think what they want to think. But what about? I mean, it's just hard, when there's censorship. You have to be careful what you say to get around the algorithm. That's the thing.
Oh, well, look at my YouTube channel. It's only grown 3,000 subs in 3 years, and look how many videos I do. I mean, they just kill me. It sucks.
It is. It's awful.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the next question? Okay.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. If you guys are ready for the next question, we're on number 8, I think.
Mm-hmm. So, Brian, do you see the Mandela effect as a negative or a positive phenomenon? And please describe the reason you feel that way.
Positive, for all the reasons I just kind of said. I believe it's showing us the other side of this realm where it's much more than just the physical, and it's actually showing us what we thought was possible with physical matter, what we thought time was, those are obviously completely out the window now. So you really have to re-examine all of reality. But like I said, if it was Satan doing this or evil nefarious forces, I think the airplanes would be falling out the sky. I don't think that human anatomy changes would move your organs to be in a more protective position. So for me, I think that it is good. I know it's annoying to a lot of people. Their favorite songs are ruined. Their Bible verses are changed. But why are you so upset over these material things? I think that's a big part of the lesson of the Mandela effect. And I do feel a lot of agencies and things like this that are deceits and frauds in this world. We could start with the DEA, the CDC, Joel Osteen, all these things that Mandela affected. I think to kind of shine a little light on it.
Oh yeah, definitely. So Jeff,
Yeah,
you are up.
let me ask you, because this one affects me pretty heavily, Brian. Actually, these two, Chick-fil-A, K or no K?
Oh, no K. CHIC.
That's what I remember too. And I used to work for them. My name tag changed.
And there's a third reality now. My Joey, there's a third reality that remembers.
Oh yeah, some people remember just the K. Some people remembered the K without the C.
Yeah, I know people who remember that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that's the amount of residue on that. It's absurd, dude. I mean, there's people that go around and go to Popeyes and Chick-fil-A and I think Wendy's, and they just review chicken sandwiches and make videos all over YouTube, and the majority of them all spell it the way in which has never existed. And we're supposedly all crazy, right? Well, you know what's crazy? The people that deny this are crazy. They're gaslighting themselves and trying to gaslight us. I won't let them do that to me. I'll tell them, no, I'm sorry, dude. So for people that aren't familiar with my content, I know a lot of people there are, but that aren't. Over the last 5 years, I've made it, kind of a really point of mine to try and show everybody how Mandela affected they are. And a lot of people in these communities have come a long way. But I'm going to tell you, man, so just about damn near every content creator out there has dug their feet in the sand, drew their line in the sand. And, I just have to say that at this point, I think I consider them liars. Mandela effect deniers are liars.
Well, BuzzFeed was very clever to create a quiz that we could sort of share with people. And it's a quiz that 99% of people fail, actually. You know that?
Yeah.
When it comes to their memory and the Mandela effect and stuff like that?
Of course.
It's because of the Mandela effect.
Of course they all fail. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, do you mind if I ask Brian something else before I get to the question?
Go for it.
Yeah. There's something I'm curious about. I know you go around asking people what they remember. Like you ask preachers and stuff, like, with the lion and the lamb, and with Mirror Mirror and stuff like that, you ask people, has anybody ever said magic mirror, or has anybody ever said the wolf laying down with the lamb when you ask them?
Nobody has ever said that to me, ever.
Wow.
The only time it's ever been said to me, ever, is on Facebook, but we all know that the people on Facebook can easily, because this person was already against the Mandela effect, they're just going to Google current reality and type it in. So I don't take anything that I'm not having a face-to-face interaction with somebody seriously, or spontaneous conversation instantly over the phone where they're not looking something up. But in any case like that, no, nobody has ever told me magic mirror. Nobody has ever told me wolf with the lamb. Nobody has ever told me 2 or 3. I'll say 2 or more. I mean, I approach pastors, preachers, Jehovah's Witnesses. Nobody has ever told me it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. Nobody has ever told me Ed McMahon worked for American Family Publishing. Nobody has ever told me it's Haas Avocados, because this is another one I ask people all the time. I mean, these are 100%ers, dude. And I know there are people that are younger, and of course there are going to be people that remember it the new way. I'm not saying it's always going to be 100%, but in my experience, for me, those are 100%ers at this point.
Hey Brian, you got a hot one here from Mustard Seed of Faith. Brian, I think there are multiple causes to the ME, not just from a single source.
I agree.
And another one I didn't throw in is very possible our human consciousness is causing some of these changes as well. So those are my ideas, is the creator of the realm and possibly the human consciousness is probably causing most of this. And I think the other side, the bad side, if you will, is doing everything it can to cover it up, doesn't have the power to make the changes, but has the power to infiltrate the consciousness of those who are weak spiritually.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I'm open to it all, dude. I don't know any better than you guys, and I love having the conversations about all the theories. I've had so many people get mad at me because I don't believe what they believe is the cause, and just because I have a louder voice, it's just what I believe, and You know, I'm telling you guys why, and you guys might have different backgrounds and believe what you believe for certain reasons, you know, and lean the way you lean. Well, maybe you research something better than I did, or vice versa.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
I think
everybody's
you're right.
entitled to believe what they want to believe.
I think you're right by saying creator, because there are some people that are not of the same religion or whatever. So I think that is more accurate for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, you
These
guys
are
know where
all
I stand.
theories. They're all theories. So as of right now, there's no way for us to prove any of them. So I can't say, like, be angry at someone for believing something different. We have no idea what's causing it. We can only speculate, and based on our knowledge and what we've learned. And
the only time I get angry is when the people say we're misremembering or it's a psyop. Again,
well,
like
that's
I'm going to say, you have all these people that have been out here for many years supposedly debunking psyops and media fakery and these types of events we spoke about earlier in the interview. And why aren't they debunking this psyop then? They're quick to tell their followers it's a psyop and like we're a bunch of bumbling idiots. They've done nothing to debunk it. They'll come back with Google results and tell us we think the Fruit of the Loom had a cornucopia because of Thanksgiving images. And we don't know the difference between the Monopoly Man and the Peanut Guy. And I think that they're morons and they sound ridiculous. And they sound like little children, and they just get their answers off Google. It's embarrassing that you would believe articles that you just Google about the Mandela effect, and you would believe the hit pieces that are put it out there. But what's even better is even if they were on the outside looking in, and we all presented all the evidence that we always do, you know, I could maybe see them being like, well, this is ridiculous or whatever. But these people actually have the same memories and experiences as us, including anchor memories that cannot be written off as a mispronunciation or you spelled the word wrong or you didn't know the real name of a product. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I was going to say, since there's so many new people here, what you're describing is what, if you end up watching our shows, I call them man-excuses. They're excuses that are directed at the Mandela effect community. Excuses that I believe that have been created to discredit us. So
of course. Can you go? Like, I rant about this all the time. I'd love to hear what you think your top 5 man excuses that you've heard. You know, the most annoying ones that you've heard, most ridiculous or whatever.
Those are that is a term that Sandy coined, by the way, you guys. Man excuses or man excuse.
Well, how about this? While they ask you questions, I will pull a couple.
Well, if I highlight some of these guys, would you mind just taking a minute to acknowledge these that I'm sharing in the bottom?
Yeah. Oh, you mean comments from the chat? Well, Sandy does that.
I don't know if you can see the YouTube video actually playing on another screen, maybe or something. But Baleen Stelling says Wizard of Oz, the Scarecrow has a GUN in the scene.
Yeah, I can. Well, you highlighted it on.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say the word out loud, but I just spelled it out for everyone.
Yeah, that's a big one for me, which, by the way, was very interesting because I was oh, never mind. I almost told the story backwards. But yes, that wasn't because that's another one of the Wizard of Oz ones that was like incremental because I was showing my friend Derek some changes in the Wizard of Oz, and then the Scarecrow had the gun, or which came second. Was it the giant wrench came after the gun, right, Sandy? The gun came first with the Scarecrow, and then the Tin Man got the giant wrench. Incrementally. Yeah. So I was able to show him that incrementally. My friend Derek, if he's in the chat, we watched it to show him the Scarecrow had the gun, but the Tin Man didn't have the giant wrench yet. And then we went back, and then he had it.
No, the Tin Man didn't he have the mallet, and the lion had the net.
The Tin Man had the axe, but now he has an axe and a wrench, giant wrench.
And the lion has
a wrench. I kind of remember a mallet, like a big giant mallet. What were you saying?
The lion has a spray can too. Now that I don't remember,
he has a spray can.
Yeah, it looks like a big spray can. It's weird.
You mean not like the oil can that was used to help?
No, it's something else. It looks really weird and out of place.
I think someone needs to go to Google and look at this.
You got another one here from Jency, okay?
Yeah, I mean, that one's just so obvious, the Monopoly Man. I mean, we know he had a monocle. I mean, this is like a, top 10 Mandela effect, easy. And you ask anybody to describe him, You know, they're always describing them with the monocle and some of the residue. I mean, like, so like, let's talk about the Ace Ventura 2 that everybody on this panel knows about. But when he walks up to the guy and says, "You must be the Monopoly Man," Jim Carrey, Mandela affected, and he punches him in the face and all that. The guy, not only does he have a monocle, he doesn't have a top hat. He doesn't have a cane. He has no other identifying features to link him to the Monopoly Man other than the freaking monocle.
That's true.
And for the people that say, well, you got it off of that, dude, we knew the Monopoly Man had a monocle for generations before Ace Ventura 2 ever came out. Stop it. You sound retarded.
Yeah, that's a ridiculous excuse. That and the Mr. Peanut.
Yeah.
I am trying to find some, but I can't search by man's excuse. It's just in random presentations.
Yeah, Sandy, I was trying to find a random image of that forest scene with the lion. I think he's honestly gripping his tail, though, if I'm not mistaken. Jeff, can you see if you can find a scene where he's holding a spray can or what you were describing?
Yeah. Can I read a comment that I think is very relevant? It's a point I've made before.
Sure. Where is it at?
Zal Moxus in Sandy's chat says, "We never had a Mr. Peanut in Australia, and our family played Monopoly all throughout the 70s growing up." Exactly. Mr. Peanut is not in every country like the Monopoly Man is. Plantis Peanut is not all over the world. I'm not saying it's exclusively in the United States. I think it's in a couple other places now, but it is not all over the world. You know what is all over the world? Fruit of the Loom. And people all over the world remember the cornucopia. And guess what? They don't celebrate Thanksgiving, so nobody's mixing it up. And I never saw a cornucopia at Thanksgiving. The only reason I know what a cornucopia is because it was on the Fruit of the Loom logo, and I had that on my clothes.
Yeah, that is true.
Yep, same here. Yeah, I had Fruit of the Loom growing up, and I remember clearly the cornucopia was there. And it freaks me out every time I look at it because it's not there anymore.
Me too. It disappeared for me in 2015 when I was shopping for underwear and I couldn't find Fruit of the Loom because I was looking for the cornucopia that supposedly never existed. Give me a break.
Did you already have the idea of the Mandela effect, or you didn't know what it was and this thing just happened to you? Like this is a Mandela effect before you knew what it was type of thing?
I didn't know what it was yet until 2020, but I experienced Mandela effects my whole life. I've been noticing stuff since the 80s that seemed off. Well, almost my whole life. I noticed.
My first one was in about year 2000. One of my favorite wrestlers of all time, Mr. Perfect. His name got Mandela affected. His name was Kurt Hennig, and now it's always been Kurt Hennig. And it's one of those things you kind of brush it off for a while. And so, you know, 2016, 2017, I think back a little bit and I'm like, holy crap. That was my first one that I remember so far.
That was one of the ones I noticed back then too, right around the same time you noticed it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. A lot of people. I made videos on that. I've gotten a lot of comments, like people highly affected by that one. Like everybody knows he was Kurt Hennig.
Yeah, that one blew me away. I noticed the Charles Schultz one in 2014, and that drove me crazy. I kept trying to Google his name to try to come up with the right name, and it just kept on coming up Schultz. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So I've been noticing stuff for a really long time. The Sweet Dreams Are Made of These changing to this. I noticed that in 2001. Febreze, I noticed in 2005. So yeah, I've been noticing.
So what's your can I ask all you guys one question and go around before we resume to me?
Sure.
Do you guys think that all the changes happen at once for everybody and it just takes some of us longer to notice it? Or do you legitimately think we see them at different times?
Who wants to go first?
That's a very good question. I think I think people notice them at different times. I think it's a combination of both. I think they do.
Remember the black gloves, Brian? Me and you, we the C3PO's black gloves, and I saw it like months after you already covered it, and we were doing videos in between, looking at the images, his hands on R2D2's head in the Princess Leia's ship. So I believe that can happen.
What there was something that Teresa mentioned tonight, Sandy, as we were on the phone real quick with her briefly when we were talking about the show for tonight. And wasn't she mentioning something about a Mandela effect that was an older one that we we all
Yes.
kind of found before? What was that one?
It was Transformers Dark Side of the Moon, Dark of the Moon.
Yes. It was found. We traced it back to November 24th, 2017 is when that one was found. It was Dark Side of the Moon. Now it's Dark of the Moon. That was the one. Thank you.
And also, I can say for a fact that we noticed them at different times because it was still Berenstein Bears for me in 2019. I remember it very clearly. Me and my fiance were watching YouTube. We were watching old Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
And it was Berenstein. I would have noticed if it had changed back then. I'm observant enough to notice these things.
But did you say Berenstein as in Stein, or did you say Stain?
Steen. Berenstein.
Berenstein.
It was not Berenstain in 2019 when I watched that YouTube video. And then after I was officially Mandela affected, when I first found out about the term in 2020, we went back and we watched the video again. And it was, of course, Berenstain. But I saw the E in 2019 in that video. I swear I saw it.
Well, now this one, I think it was a fake, but there was a guy on YouTube had a video, and he would walk into a certain room with the book he was holding, and it would change back to
That's
the way
a
it
fake
was.
video.
Brian, you gotta let me chime in here because
That was
not only is that a fake video, but I get so pissed off when people share fake things about the Mandela effect, and every year or two that resurfaces and goes viral. So one day, about two or 3 years ago, that happened again, and I said to Karen, I said, you know what? We need to like recreate this. And me and her, mostly her video editing, we completely recreated that video with me walking through the doorway of my laundry room here with the Berenstain book that I have, and it changed to Berenstein when I walked in the room and back to Berenstain when I walked back out. And then when I was done telling people I had a Mandela effect portal in my laundry room, I told them that it was fake, and we just fabricated this within a couple hours. And don't believe fake videos on. I'll be impressed with these, or the guy that supposedly takes his phone and looks through the viewfinder of his phone, and it's an old phone, and he sees Mandela effect things the old way. I'll be a little more intrigued to look at it when somebody else is filming them doing that from another perspective in a stream that we can verify as a live stream and not an edited video.
Yeah.
Yep. And there was, speaking of edited items, there's a picture of a guy wearing like some hat. He's in the mall, and he's doing a selfie in front of J.C. Penney, and the penny has the E, which was clearly you can see was removed, and they're showing it as residue, J.C. Penney with the PENNY, and that's another one that's another one that kind of bothers me. The one with J.C. Penney.
It discredits us. I hate it.
I've actually done shows. Where I've shown people things to look for to try to determine if photos are fake. Like, zoom in, look at the pixels. It's very easy to see when things have been edited. It's just you have to know how to look at it.
Can you give me a screen share, Brian?
Yeah, sure.
I'd love to show this little clip of the Berenstein that we recreated. I think everybody here is probably pretty familiar with the original. We can play it later if we need to. But watch how me and Karen recreated this.
Yeah, I was curious about that. I was
it looks almost as good if we would have taken a little more time. Like if we would have prepared it for a couple days rather than, hey, we need this in a couple hours. It would have been more steady. It's a little shaky, but watch, you'll see what we do in this video to show people that is a fake video going around.
So check this out. I can't even believe I'm saying this right now. But remember those videos going around with the guy with the Berenstein book in his room, and it would change? A lot of you guys are talking about it lately. It's happening here. And I didn't do anything different than normal, but something crazy is going on. This laundry room. There's some weird things happening here. I have this Berenstein book. Yeah, look. Berenstain. I still say Steen. But yeah, Berenstain. But when you go in this room, That's how you can happen.
Great job.
That's great. Yeah.
The craziest part about this is that this is a fake video. We walk into the laundry room. The book's not changing. Berenstain. Video editing. Let's not fall for edited videos as some sort of portal. So this video is completely fake. We wanted to do this to show you how easy it is to fake this crap. No, that guy doesn't have a portal in his bedroom that shows you Mandela affects things the way that they used to be in the past. Thanks, Karen.
All right.
That's
Now,
excellent.
I didn't make that video. Yeah, so, I mean, clearly you could see that it's very easy to fake that. And literally, we had a show that Thursday night, and I said to her at like 3 p.m, we needed to do something about it. And before the show, we had that video. So imagine if we took just a couple days, it would have looked just as believable. It is almost just as allegedly believable as the other one. It's almost the exact same thing. The E was shaken a little bit, but that would have been easily corrected with a little more time. So we cannot fall for fake videos. Look at all the fake videos that have come to discredit the Mandela effect. You got those two we just talked about, that stupid Sinbad thing in 2018 on April Fool's Day. I mean, God, it's so annoying, man. And, you know, when we all get sent that stuff all the time, you know, oh, look, they found a clip from the Sinbad movie. Shut up.
Then there's that one where they take the movie out of the safe, the Sinbad movie.
Oh,
fake too.
that's another one too. I covered that one too because, yeah, they take the first of all, there's some that they say were in a safe, but they don't show it. Then they say take this one out the safe, like a safe is going to protect it from a Mandela effect.
Right.
Yeah, and then they go and they put the tape in the VCR or whatever it is, and it's the clip from the fake Sinbad clip. It's not the real Sinbad.
Yeah, but supposedly now, I haven't tested this theory out, but you could theoretically put something into a Faraday cage and it wouldn't be affected by radiation or any kind of thing that would possibly cause it to change.
Well, I get that, but we have no proof that would block out a Mandela effect. I mean, it's an interesting idea, but we have no proof that would block out a Mandela effect.
Does anybody have a Faraday cage laying around?
No, but I found the biggest excuse for me.
Oh, let's hear it.
So, you know how you've covered repeatedly the Center for Disease Control being centers.
Yep.
When did the title change for you to what it is now?
So for me, the title for the CDC from center to centers changed, I want to say around 2018. And then on top of that, what I remember, and I don't know if you remember the same as me, I remember that when the Center for Disease Control got Mandela affected and became centers, it was retroactively, of course, all the way back to the past. But as we see many times, that backstory changed since then. And now it was center until like early 70s, which still predates my birth. But you can no longer tell people, hey, it's never been Center for Disease Control, because you'll be wrong because of an evolving backstory, much like Fruit Loops and a few of these other changes that we've seen, right? Have you noticed that?
Yes. But in 2021, I noticed that it was Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And
yes, I've heard you talk about that.
Right. And when I researched it, like you were saying, the man's excuse is, oh, you're remembering center because in 1946, the Communicable Disease Center was created. So you're remembering center from that. And then, like you were saying, in 1971, they changed it to Center for Disease Control. Yep. And then in 1981, it became centers.
Which is nonsense. So that's 40 years of my life that it's been centers with an S, and I don't ever have a recollection of that until
wait, that's not even it. And
yeah, go ahead.
Prevention. Sorry about that. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has been around since 1992. And prevention. Mm-hmm. So while we were talking about center to Centers for Disease Control. That entire time, it was and prevention. Do you remember that?
That one I'm not so sure about. Like, I'm not so like I don't always have a memory of it being anything more than the Center for Disease Control. I don't remember clearly enough when I was introduced with the and prevention part. So that's something I've kind of shied away from a little bit. Now, are you saying that the and prevention part, how far back does that go now? To 1981?
92.
92. Yeah, that doesn't sound right to me at all. Because again, 92, I mean, we're talking, I'm in junior high, and this is when I first becoming aware of some of these terms and agencies and whatnot, and hearing it all the time. And yeah, I don't remember that. But I'm 100% on the center to centers change, the evolving backstory. I'm just not 100% on the when the addition of the prevention part came in.
Yeah, well, for me, it popped up in 2021, and then I saw it was, like I said, it's a man's excuse. They're trying to explain that the reason why we remember center is because it was originally the Communicable Disease Center, and it was center up until 1981. And I'm sorry, how old was I? I was 5 in 1981. So, yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. And there was and prevention for me.
No,
and 2021.
For anybody, again, most people aren't, but there might be people when I replay this on my channel that really aren't into the Mandela effect because, you know, I talk about different things. If they make it this far in the video, let's not forget about the DEA. Like, you ever ask anybody what the DEA stands for, that's another one like mirror, mirror. Everybody's going to tell you the Drug Enforcement Agency. Now it's never been that. So the pile, it's getting pretty high. We have a really big pile of all things that don't match your memory at all, yet your memory matches all of our memory here. And not only that, it matches all this physical evidence I can show you. And I'm not the one trying to tell you that you're stupid. I'm actually trying to tell you that you're observant, you're smart, your senses aren't failing you. Something's going on with this reality. Stop denying it.
And HIPAA, too. That's another big one.
Oh,
Smithsonian Institute.
Yeah. Oh, Smithsonian Institute. It's another one, dude. You ask anybody. Most famous museum in America begins with an S. 2 words. Smithsonian Institute. Never existed now.
No,
there's another one just like that I covered, and I can't even remember what it is now.
Is it the Brookings Institute? Because that's institution now as well. I've got some.
No, I don't think it's the Brookings. I'm going to try to find it while you guys read the next questions. I forget what it is.
It was mine, actually.
What's up next? What's next?
All right. So in the past, you've mentioned changes in the Bible due to the Mandela effect. Can you share more about this and its implications?
Sure. So first off, I will start with what my history with the Bible is before the Mandela effect. And you could say, well, pretty close to zero. I've always stayed away from religion, never read the Bible. You know, and I know this will offend people or whatever, but I've, you know, whatever, you know, this is my story. I've always looked at religion as a way to divide people. I've always thought the idea of one person's God is better than the others or has more validity to it was ridiculous. And now through my journey, what I've learned is I used to think it was like this religion versus science thing, which is what's portrayed in the media. But in the reality, they're both two wings of the same bird trying to keep you from true spirituality. So all that being said, though, the fact that there's changes in the Bible. Now, when I say changes in the Bible, for the people that aren't following it, we're not talking about Bibles being reissued, different translations of the Bible. If I present a Bible change as a universal change, that means every Bible in the universe is affected by this change. It doesn't matter what translation, how old it is. Pull the one off your shelf. It's in your house and debunk me. So here's the thing. While I was not really into the Bible, many people hold it near and dear to their heart, right? So the fact that you hold this book near and dear to your heart, that's full of supernatural stories, but then when the supernatural changes are happening, even in your book, you want to ignore it? Like, whether you believe it's Satan causing the Mandela effect, God changing the Bible, a simulation, CERN, timelines, whatever it is, the fact that your scripture is being supernaturally rewritten as it sits in your possession, that should alarm you. So I think it's very important no matter what the source of this is. The fact, and again, these Mandela effects, here's something I tell people all the time. Another example, people are probably sick of me saying it, but when I talk about a Mandela effect, I'm not talking about a videotape that's out there of my uncle's graduation from the 70s, and I'm telling you something changed in it. We're telling you there's changes in Star Wars, world geography, every globe, every Bible. Like you have some of this stuff in your house. You know what I mean? It's profound. Whatever is happening here is profound, and it doesn't matter if you think the Bible is the word of God, man, an AI, a dog. The fact is, the words on that paper in the book, that is the most mass-produced book in the history of the world, are changing.
Well, it was actually the first book ever really put together like that.
What do you mean? Can you elaborate?
The Bible was the first book.
And look how meticulously it was put together. Now look at all the grammar errors and punctuation errors and all this nonsense and gibberish in it.
But what I get a lot of the times, Brian, a lot of the times when I talk to people about Bible changes, at first they're probably thinking I'm a heretic. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing is, they're mentioning that it's a translation issue, and it's not because if you go through and look, we got things like Bible Hub out there. You can go back to your 1611 King James, and the changes are there.
And you can go back to the Hebrew, bro. I mean, it's all there. It goes all the way back.
Yeah, it goes back to the Hebrew. Yeah.
Every time. Every time on a universal change. Some of the KJV specific ones obviously don't, which there are. But so the bigger changes we talked about tonight, like Lion and the Lamb in Matthew 18:20, those are universal. And by the way, Lion and Lamb didn't start as universal, and we all incrementally watched it become universal.
Well, I think, Sandy, am I up on this next one? This next question?
But before you start, but before you read the next question, the other one is more, you see it, you'd have to be watching Fox News be on the conservative side of YouTube to see it a lot, but it was always
I'm definitely not over there.
I know. But it was always the Hoover Institute for me, and now that's also an institution as well.
Oh, no. Interesting. I'm not really so familiar with that one. I definitely want to look at that, though, because it's a trend, obviously, a pattern that we're seeing.
Yeah, I see a lot of patterns.
Okay, so we talked about some of the religious aspect. What about the Mandela effect? How has it affected your personal life and your relationships? Has it affected your relationships in any way? Example, have your friends and family got angry at you, or do you know anyone in real life who was also affected that you can talk to about the ME, you know?
Yeah, well, I'll have to say it hasn't affected my life negatively at all. Has it hurt any relationships? A few of my online friends pretty triggered by it or whatever, but other in real life and family and friends, no. And this is a great question, because it's like, first off, the reason why it's probably never done any of that damage is because that damage was already done with the thing in Connecticut and 9/11, and me trying to bring it up to my dad. I mean, I'm sure if I never got into those and the Mandela effect was the first thing, and then I tried to bring it up, it probably would have damaged the relationship with that. But any of those relationships that would have been damaged were already damaged. And I would say, as of late, dude, people are listening to my content finally. People in my hometown are telling me. People's names are popping in the chat on my Facebook. My mother now, which is a good feeling, and I know your mom's been around, Brian. My mother now watches my streams, and she's totally into the Mandela effect, and she's starting to get into some of the other things I talk about, and she's frequently in the streams. Now, as far as people that I can talk to, absolutely, because I left my hometown, and I live here with Karen and Ted, and we're all, into the same type of stuff. So, and I have lots of people around me. I have meetups with people that I could talk about in person, which is one of the reasons I do it. And, I hope at some point we can meet in person, all of us, at a various meetup or something. It's totally awesome, dude. So for me, the Mandela effect, honestly, and maybe I could think back and I'll say something at the end of the show if it comes to mind. I can't think of any negative impact it's had on any relationships with myself. And obviously, I could talk to it about with my friends, most of them, that I could already talk to about some of these other things. People are messaging me and they're gaining interest in it. Obviously, I see Steffi in the chat. I can talk to her about it a lot. and I spend a lot of time over there in California. So generally, dude, I'm around people that do know that this is real and can have these open type of conversations. And that's a beautiful thing. And I know not everybody's in that situation, but that's my long-winded answer to that.
Very good, very good. Brian, so you did, I was trying to ask you, or mention to you that you had talked about your own hometown changing or something, Centerville to Centuryville or something like that, with an R instead of they took out the E or something.
No, it changed, a bigger change than that. Center to Central.
Centralville.
Yeah.
But all your life you knew it as Centerville, right?
Absolutely, man.
So it changed twice?
No, well, maybe. I can tell the story real quick. I mean,
well, I remember because I was on a show with you about it. We did a show on your channel about it, and originally the ER changed to RE.
No. The ER changed to RAL. It never changed. It never did that Canadian looking century thing that we've seen pop up everywhere.
Really?
No, it never did that. Yeah, no, it didn't do that. It changed from center to central.
I could have sworn, and I think Sandy kind of feels like it may have changed a couple times for us, like.
No, but later on there was a monument that says it that way, which I've never experienced it that way. And I showed the monument that shows that there probably is evidence that at one time it was that.
Yes,
Brian, I swear to you, swear to you, when I did the My Awakening with you, it originally changed to RE. I swear to you.
That's what I remember too, Brian.
I swear to you.
I don't remember that. I'm sorry. But yeah, so like I said, first YouTube video I did as far as coming on a live stream was roundtables with you guys. Well, at least with Brian. Sandy, I think you were there. Maybe you weren't. I don't know. About 5 years ago, almost to the day. And several months in, a couple months in, Gloria used to always tell me, wait till you have a personal change. It's going to hit you really hard. And then one day, I was with my boss going to work. He was driving, and we were at Top Donut, and we come around the drive-through, and I'm looking in my bag for my bagel or whatever, and I hear him go in a really confused voice, Centralville. And I look up, and he's like, I didn't know it was spelled like that. And I look up, and the stone monument that said Centerville Memorial Park now said Centralville. And, I'm already doing Mandela Effect videos. I'm like 4, 5, 6 months in, maybe a little longer. It's right away. I pretty much had my gut just had this feeling, and like, oh man, not only is this a change, it's 8 a.m. and I got to go to work with this guy all day, and I can't even say what he's experiencing right now. I just started this job like a month before. I wasn't ready. Eventually, I did tell him, but at first I didn't. And, I interviewed, for people that don't know, I have a series of videos that I did investigating this, including calling every taxi company in the city hall, every business around that sign. They all emphatically tell you that it's Centerville. It's always been Centralville now. And then on top of it, there's now a dog park that sits in Centralville. Centerville's never existed. In the city of Lowell, named it the Centerville Dog Park.
Well, I would be curious also to check the post office and see how people are writing it out, like on the letters and stuff.
Well, they wouldn't write it on the letters because Centerville is a neighborhood. They would just write Lowell, Mass. and the zip code. And Centerville or Centralville has the same zip code. It wouldn't matter the spelling. Nobody writes Centerville on the envelopes.
Brian, what did your boss say when you finally told him?
Well, when I finally told him, it was probably not too long after I told him that I thought that the earth was flat. So he probably wasn't that surprised when I told him. But you know me, man. I just sat there and nailed him with like 50 Mandela effects. Him and his assistant. I mean, I got them with everything down the line. Plus, he was there when that changed. I don't think he ever got into it, but I think a couple of the other people at that job did. I started talking to them about it. And I used to not talk about this stuff at work. But then my next job too, I got a job at a restaurant a few miles from my house. Actually, a lot of miles. It was like a $30 Uber ride each way. But man, they were loving the Mandela effect.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think a lot more people are open to it now, perhaps.
Yeah.
Because it's had its time to circulate, maybe a bit more. So, when you bring up a new concept, anything new is going to get shot down, right? So it's been floating around for a while. I believe most people have accepted it. It's just, a lot of them turn a blind eye to it.
Yeah, I've been able to talk about it with a lot of people, and I'm surprised how many people actually listen to me about it and don't call me crazy. But I've had a couple that did, particularly at work. So you get a
Sandy,
mixture of both.
Sandy, I think you're up next with your
I
question.
am. And it's probably a pretty short one, but how do you think the Mandela effect impacts people's perceptions of reality?
Well, depends on what side they look at it. I mean, if it's somebody that thinks it's a psyop and their perception of reality is that everybody is just completely easily swayed by a media trick, including those of us on these different truth journeys. But for those of us that realize that it's real, it totally changes my perception of reality and what this place is. I mean, I can't speak for everybody else, but for me, and I already knew this, at least intuitively, I guess would be the correct word, that we're not just dead in the ground when, I get 80, 90 years old and, I pass away. There's going to be more. My energy is going to go and live on somewhere else. And, everybody knows, not everybody, but most people know my take. For those that don't, I don't think that we are a random accident of some ridiculous big bang that brought us here. I think that this place was created as us with the center of the universe, and everything that we need was put here, including endless water, endless oil, endless land. We're all meant to believe that all these things are scarce. These lies lead you towards realizing that this place is created. There is a creator, but the Mandela effect shows it in action for me. So it's totally changed my perception of reality. Sure. I guess it would be different for every person. And somebody that didn't believe in the things that I believe in, it might shake them to their core and make them believe in there being more and being more after death and all these ideas. So I think it would be different for everybody.
Okay. Jeff, you're up.
Jeff, you're on mute.
Be right back.
No problem.
Okay, then I will ask the question. In your opinion, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong spot because I'm reading his. Have you ever observed any changes happen in real time, like sort of like that Bernstein Bear fake video you did? Whether an image changing in front of you, something in real life, geographic changes, etc. Besides the town changing, like actually in real time, something changing in front of you.
I don't think so. Now, I have looked at an article covering the Mickey Ward Mandela effect, and reading the article once and then the second time, there was definitely something inserted into it that wasn't there. But if you're asking me if I actually saw something with my eyes, like a morph from one thing to another or change instantaneously in front of my eyes, its orientation, I have not experienced that. And I don't know if anybody would ever be able to really experience that. I don't know if that's possible because it's not really changing in that instant, right? It's changing all the way back through time, and then it's overriding the whole reality. So how would you see it?
There is one episode of our show where we were looking at a logo, and Brian scrolled the page, and then he scrolled back down.
Yeah.
And everyone saw that the logo had changed. And I forget what the logo is. If Teresa's in the chat, she would probably know. It's a watch company.
So a lot of people are saying they've seen something like this happen. I'm not dismissing that it can. I just haven't seen it. So yeah, if it's happened for you guys, I guess it could happen. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Brian, you're next.
Okay, I just want to point out here, Teresa Lynch said, I watched my residues change. I watched a logo on a box merge live. And she will tell you up and down about Fruit Loops. I saw it. She saw it. We both saw it. The Fruit Loops changed from a FRUIT to FROOT right there in front of our eyes. That was pretty wild.
Wow. I had one thing that just came to my mind. I don't know if this would really qualify, but it sounds kind of like your scrolling thing, and then it changed. We all saw. I don't know if you remember. We were, and this would have to do with. I don't know, man. It was weird. I was doing a Mandela Effect video, and everybody's watching. I'm live, and at the bottom came an ad for Stouffer's stovetop stuffing, which we know has never existed now, and everybody saw it in the live stream, and then it disappeared. It was like a AI generated ad that popped in the bottom of my live stream for a product that's never existed, and every single person saw it. They were all blowing up in the chat. I didn't have to tell anybody, hey, did you see that? Everybody saw it. It was Stouffer's.
You asked anybody about Thanksgiving. We all served that stuff at Thanksgiving stovetop. It was Stouffer's. 100%, 1,000,000%. You can't tell me it was Kraft. No way. And you can, and some people will argue, well, Kraft just bought them out. No, it was. If you go back in the commercials, like the '80s, it says Kraft. I'm not joking. It's for real.
Yeah.
It says Kraft.
It was actually General Foods.
General Foods, then Kraft.
Then Kraft. Yeah.
No,
but again,
I remember Stouffer's.
See the simple investigation you can do, Jeff. Like people that say logos and companies and products can change names and all this. Yeah, we understand that. And in fact, we look for that before we call it a Mandela effect. And when you look into the history of that, you'll find there is no business transaction that involves Stouffer's.
Right. And they don't want to do that research. They just want to say we're wrong.
Yeah, because they're fucking morons.
Exactly.
Hey, Brian. Have you? So our next question: have you experienced any changes in yourself, such as changes in your appearance, health, personality?
Oh yeah,
etc.
So, can you put me on full screen
since becoming affected? What?
Can you put me on full screen? I got a good one for you.
All right, hold on. Let me switch over.
And then after I talk about this one, I just need like a 5-minute bathroom break, if that's cool.
Wait, let me find you.
Wrong, Brian.
Okay. Hang on.
No,
it's not one to play right. I'm on a different computer.
All right, it's fine, dude. So, anyways, my whole life, I've had this thing on my arm, and sometimes it gets irritated and itchy, and it's like 6 or maybe 9 different. There you go, 6 or maybe 9 different raised bumps right here in my arm, and I think it's from when you were little and you had a TB test or something like that, right? It was one of those things they did to you when you were a kid in school, and at many times it would get very itchy. Sometimes I used to put lotion on it, even though it didn't really help too much. And all of a sudden, a few months ago, after 45 years of my life, it's completely gone. Gone completely. There's no trace of it. It was like 9 raised bumps right here, always right here near my tricep. And it's happened to other people as well. Completely disappeared. So that's one change that's happened to me, to do with my body that I think is, I don't think it's specific to me, but it's not the universal Mandela effects we commonly talk about to do with the anatomy, like, you know, the kidney or the heart or the eye sockets or anything like that.
Who's up, Brian?
Yeah, I read the last one.
I'm next.
What about personality? Have you noticed any changes with your personality or any other things?
Can I take a bathroom break real quick?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. I'll be right back. Then we can do that one.
So I'm gonna, while he's gone, I'm gonna explain the Mont Blanc. Mont Blanc is a watch company, and while we were live on air, we were talking about the logo changing. I think it was an upside down V for an A. I have to actually look at the logo. I haven't seen it in a while. But when we were showing it, like I said, Brian was scrolling for the full image, and a star appeared. There was no star in the logo, and then all of a sudden there was a star, and everyone watching the show saw it appear. So it's like a circle inside, like a circle with like a 6-pointed star inside of it. So the logo was just Mont Blanc, just the words, and then all of a sudden all of the logos had a star in it, and we saw it live. I actually have the image where it appeared. It was a sign. I'm trying to save the image, send it to you, Brian, but
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, we can actually skip on to the next one. It's fine. If
When
you want to go ahead
he's
and
not
ask
here,
your
though.
next question. Huh?
He's not here, I thought.
I know.
He
I
stepped
know.
away.
No, I know. He stepped to use the restroom. But yeah, you want to ask your next question?
Well, Jeff is going to ask the next question. We have to wait until he gets here to ask him.
Yes,
why I was
I
going to
know.
send
I
him the
know. But
link.
we don't have to talk about any other. He already talked about a health change, so that's fine. We can go on when he returns.
What? I don't understand what you're saying.
When Brian gets back, you can just go on to your question that you were going to ask.
Oh, I know. That's Jeff is going to read it because I read his.
Okay.
But what I'm trying.
So do I read the next one too? That was mine.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Yeah. Go
I'm
ahead,
here.
Jeff. You'll read 2 in a row. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Have you experienced ringing in the ears, sleep disturbance, change in your sleep patterns, or any other changes in behaviors since becoming affected?
I've experienced, with the air thing, I know a lot of people talk about that a lot. I'm not saying I never experienced it, but I never experienced it so much where I really thought about it too much. So, once in a while, I think I do get what people are experiencing with that. But I also noticed a couple of years ago, I became much more proficient with using my left hand, much more ambidextrous, and in many cases using my left hand over my right. Now, I'm not saying I'm left-handed now, but a lot of things that I didn't used to do with my left hand, I all of a sudden started doing. So is that tied into the Mandela effect? I don't know, but it's definitely worth mentioning. It's not something I've talked about in a long time. But
That's interesting.
That is.
Like right now, I mean, I'm using my left hand to I used to use my right hand to drink and do other things. Now it's my left hand. Now I still eat with a fork in my right hand, and if I pick up a pen, but.
Well, one thing real quick I want to mention is that a lot of people have noticed with the Mandela effect, some of the body changes and everything else that we've talked about previously. On top of that, I've heard we have better perceptual vision now. Perception, what do you call it? Where
Definitely.
you can see from a wider angle now.
Yeah. Oh, depth perception and peripheral vision.
Peripheral vision, yeah, your peripheral is a lot better now. It's been improved.
And I have talked about the way and it could be me changing, and it could be the environment or something put in the environment, right? We all know that type of stuff happens. But sometimes the way that I see light reflect off of water, it seemed very odd to me for a while. For a few years, I would find myself staring at the river in Lowell and just this looks different to me. But nothing I can really, say is a definite thing, but it's worth bringing up.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
So it could be my vision changing. It could be, chemicals in the air. It could be the realms changing. It could be something
the
on a
water's
deeper
cleaner.
level. Yeah, it could be a lot of things. I don't know if it's going to be the water cleaner in Lowell, but.
All right, Jeff, next question.
All right. In your opinion, do you think the Emmys are slowing down, speeding up, or vary throughout the year?
I think it kind of has ups and downs, and it's been pretty consistently up and down. There's been some times it's been really pretty hot for a while, and then it slows down. But I don't see it ultimately slowing down at all. There's more and more changes all the time. And especially, I've been at this for a while, so you know, we've seen so many of the changes already. So, you know, it is going to seem to slow down to people like us, but I do think that it's going to keep continuing.
Yeah, definitely. We see new ones all the time.
Yeah.
I don't
I've
see
been
it
finding
ending
a lot of
anytime soon.
stuff since I joined the show. A lot more than I thought I'd find.
Brian, you're
question.
next.
Next question. Okay. Do you think the changes to the weather, the cloud patterns, anything with these natural disasters, so-called things here, et cetera, are related to the Mandela effect? Do you think the Mandela effect might be
Yeah.
intertwined with them?
Yeah. So we talk about the sky. There's a lot of things to talk about with the Mandela effect. So for me, first off, we can start with Polaris. Polaris used to be stationary. It was not doing circles in the sky. So that's a Mandela effect for me. The moon, okay. The man on the moon is a Mandela effect. The face of the moon has changed. Okay. Now, we don't know what the moon is. So people could say, well, Brian, you don't know what the moon is. Somebody could have just turned a switch and changed the orientation of the moon. True. But where are the old pictures of the face of the man on the moon? I think that's a legit Mandela effect. The sun. So people talk about the yellow sun. People talk about the white sun. Is it a Mandela effect? Is there a fake sun? Well, certainly seems to be that there might be more than one up there. There might be an artificial one. There is certainly, sometimes we see very hexagonal shapes of one. So did they swap out the sun? That's why there's a color change? Or is there a Mandela effect involved? Or could it be both? I think it could be both. I think there could be things up there we don't know. And I also think that if you go back and look at old photographs, and I haven't dug through all this yet, but I think if you go back and look at old photographs looking for the yellow sun, I think you're going to come up a little light-handed. So I think there's both involved with that. Now, as far as the clouds, that's very tough because they're doing so much spraying and stuff up there, Brian. That's another one that I think we would have to go back, just like with the sun, and look through all the old photographs. But then, and then if we see that all these new types of clouds date all the way back, then it seems there would be a Mandela effect involved. Now, people have claimed to seen chemtrails and all sorts of other things going way back in different movies now. So, you know, it's something that I would need to investigate more before I made a claim on.
Yeah, I know. The sun is. I find it a little bit hard to believe that the sun is in fact 93 million miles away. And they've proven it that with the way the rays are when sun rays hit the clouds, they bend at a certain angle, you know, and they've shown through other experimentation that the sun is probably closer than we like in the mirror, objects in the mirror closer than they are now.
Yeah. I mean, how would angled rays even reach us from millions of miles away? They'd completely miss the Earth. It's absurd, dude.
Anyway. Yeah, and there's another one, the crepuscular rays. Sue Finelli just brought that up. I almost forgot about that. There's anti-crepuscular rays now that never existed in my reality. So, like, you know how you
yep. Huh? Yep. And the moon bows and the double rainbows. These are things that I think are all new to me as well.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, so you're looking at one side of the sky where the sun is, and the other side of the sky has negative sun rays. I'm like, what? Nah. So that looks weird. It does happen a lot. I've seen it more than once. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The sky seems lower. The clouds seem much lower than they used to.
Oh, they are much lower.
So I think the whole sky is lower, whatever that means and whatever people believe. I think that things are even closer than they were, no matter how far you think they are. I think things are closer than they were than we experienced 5, 6, 7 years ago.
I agree.
I think it's a great time to be alive. Like Tom Hefner always comes on our show, and he says the Mandela effect is the greatest show on earth.
Light pillars, the light pillars, the rainbow light pillars that shoot straight up. Those are new, not brand new. I mean, but in 2018, those were new for me.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's see. I am trying to find where we were in this list. Give me 1 second. There we go.
Yeah, I've been highlighting them as we go along, Sandy. We're on number 17.
Yep. Do you think the laws of physics are changing?
Well, I think the laws of physics are a limit. It's like a limit on trying to experience what this reality is. So are the actual laws of physics changing, or are we just seeing things that are way beyond the laws of physics? I think it's more so we're experiencing things that completely go against the laws of physics. But are the laws of physics changing, or are we just experiencing something that's metaphysical and outside of that? I would probably answer it that way. But some of the laws of physics could be changing, and the way things, and I need to think about that a little more, because there probably are things in this realm that are sliding past my memory right now, different aspects of it that have changed that would relate to the laws of physics. So I'm not saying that they haven't. And hey, maybe that's why the airplane engines have to be in a different spot now or something, right? Maybe there's something in the atmosphere that's different, or the different gases sit at different percentages than they used to, or whatever the case may be that would apply to the aircraft, that the creator would have to come in and move the engines to be hanging off the front of the wing like they are, and the different flaps and stabilizers and all the other stuff we could get into, you know?
And that's exactly what made me ask that question. That was my thought exactly.
Oh, good.
The airplane.
On the same page. Yeah, it could be.
All right, Jeff, you're up.
All right. This one's going to be fun, and I already know the answer, but how do you respond to skeptics who dismiss the Mandela effect as misremembering or false memories?
Oh, man. Well, first off, I have to laugh at them. People, when they say it the first time or whatever, I don't laugh at them. I mean, I get it. Of course, you're going to think, you're not going to think reality's changing. But,
right.
The people that have repeatedly denied it, especially after it's been shown over and over how affected they are, I don't look at them as legitimate. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I think it's a cowardly act to deny this when they know they're experiencing it and their followers are experiencing it, or their peers, or there are other people around them are experiencing it, and they want to sit there and lie to themselves and lie to others. I think it's very disingenuous. I used to get pretty upset, and you can already tell I'm getting a little aggravated because they aggravate the shit out of me, honestly. No, honestly, they're trying to gaslight all of us. Yeah. They're affected by all this. But I will say, the best approach for me now is to just try to, if you noticed over the last year or so, I haven't really made videos pointing these people out anymore. But I do think they're ridiculous, and they should know that most of the people around them do know the changes are real. And to deny this, the most obvious thing ever, now granted, we might never figure it out and all this, but the most obvious thing ever that this is happening, it's so obvious. To deny this, how can I respect these people as gonna bring us truth anywhere? Like, they have a very hard limit when it comes to their paradigm, so
right.
I think people that deny this are pretty much a joke. Now, again,
I agree.
I'm not calling you a joke if it's never been presented properly to you, or you're having a hard time with it. But I mean, the people that have laughed and ridiculed it and told their people it's nonsense, they've become a laughing stock, in my opinion. So that's the way I feel about it. They can watch this video and say whatever they want, but the fact of the matter remains: this doesn't have to be your favorite topic, but you don't have to agree with all my Mandela effects or all Sandy's or all Brian's. But is this really happening? Yeah, it is. And you've been telling people it hasn't been, and that makes us sound like a bunch of bubbling idiots. When in reality, we're the honest ones, we're the observant ones. And we have the courage to share these stories with people and really try and figure out what this reality is. So all the Mandela effect people in the chat, I commend you for being some of the most honest people I've ever met to talk about your life experiences and what's really happening here. And anybody out there listening to this that says this is a psyop, why is it that you'll debunk the latest shooting? You'll debunk the latest event. You'll go and debunk everything NASA puts out. But you won't do anything to debunk what you say is a psyop, which obviously, if it's a psyop, me and Brian and Jeff and Sandy and people in the chat like Tommy, and Jacobian and Sovereign Soul and all these other people I've seen, but then we're misleading tons of people without nonsense. Why don't you debunk it? Because you know that you can't, because you know that it's real. So it's time to fess up. It's not about, hey, we told you so. Admit it, say I was wrong, and we'll understand because it's such a big thing. I was wrong. This is happening. This is huge. I couldn't take it in. Now let's talk about it. And tell everybody that you know, that follows your content, that you know that it's real. Because people have influence, just like I have influence, right? So let's say, every channel has it. So let's just say 10% of people that watch me will listen to what I say if I tell them not to look at something, right? Well, people with bigger channels than me tell people the Mandela effect is bogus, and I can see it reflect in the attitude of people that follow them, and they say it's nonsense. They regurgitate the same dumb crap that comes out of these people's mouths. I'm sorry, you're all Mandela affected. Suck it up, buttercups.
Exactly. And they never come back with any evidence. They never come back with anything.
They're clowns.
Just
No,
they are.
you have to. Hey, we learned in English 1102, okay, or 102, whatever you want to call it. If you're going to make a claim, you have to be able to back it up. Okay,
Right.
so if they're claiming to say that you're giving out false information, let them try and prove it.
Show us the magic trick that they say it. It's the magic trick. Show us then. I've been waiting for years.
A magic trick.
They've never
Always
done
have.
anything. They've never
Yeah.
done anything other than come back with like telling us about the peanut guy. Like that's the farthest they go.
Yeah,
They'll
no
use
Exactly.
the same
excuses.
regurgitated crap and
It's
lame
a joke,
excuses.
dude. They're no more. They sound just as bad as people that tell you everything about 9/11 and the 1990, and it's all official.
Yeah.
Official story. They're like 9/11 official story guys to me.
Yeah.
Official reality guys. You guys are official reality guys. Congratulations. You believe the box they want to put you in. You want to deny that we're special. You want to deny that these things can happen, but you're experiencing it. So you're not only, but you're primarily lying to yourself and trying to convince yourself that you're an idiot. No, you're actually becoming more aware of your surroundings, and I'm here to show you the way.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yep.
we all are.
Well, one thing that just came to my mind is Skittles, the red Skittle. I know for a fact it was cherry, and now it's strawberry. And in the red pack, you used to have to buy the purple pack to get the strawberry flavored Skittles. I thought that was pretty random.
I don't know that one, but I believe you.
Yeah.
That's 100% Mandela effect for me. See, that's the thing. We all have some of our personal ones that affect us the most. I was wondering, Brian, what further research or exploration do you plan on doing regarding the Mandela effect, if any?
Say that again.
What further research or exploration are you planning regarding the Mandela, and if any?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't really know where this is going to take us. I really don't know how I would answer that question other than to constantly try and change my style. So I do want to, as I like to do, I want to get out and talk to more people out in person. I would love to come up with some sort of, I am working on a list that I'm put together of working on it for months of what I think are slam dunk Mandela effect.
Well, I have to ask you. Can you hear me, Brian?
Yeah, it sounds like we lost Brian.
Brian, I hope you're not glitching out. I hope it's not that Apple bug. Anyway, I had a question about interviews because I thought about possibly looking into doing some interviews with people. I remember asking for permission with a local restaurant, Cheddar's, and they completely turned me down. Like, hey, you're not allowed to record in here. So, but I mean, if you do it out in the street, it's like open ground. It's like, you can pretty much do it wherever it's in the open.
Yeah.
Have you thought about interviewing folks, like on the street? Have you done that before,
I think we lost him.
Brian?
Yeah,
Yep,
let's see
we
if
did.
he's backstage.
I'll look out for him Come on, Brian, get back in here.
Oh no, we lost the guest. It's not good.
But you guys get what I'm saying, right? I think that would be a great way to, especially if you make them like YouTube shorts. YouTube shorts seem to get the most amount of views. If let's say if you're trying to become an influencer and you want to influence people more with the ME, I suggest going out doing YouTube shorts, interviews.
Look backstage. His internet went out, but it's back.
Okay. What do you guys think about that? What? Somebody said Brian ran out of Bud Light. Hey, Brian, welcome back.
Yeah, my internet went out, but it's back.
Oh, good.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so different strategies and whatnot. I don't really know.
Well, I was asking you about interviews. Have you conducted like one-on-one interviews with people? Like have like a camera guy in front of you, and then you're interviewing with a big microphone. You know, those kind of videos seem to get a lot of views on YouTube. Like the algorithm senses that it's a YouTube short, and when you do like minute long or less videos, you tend to get the most amount of views.
Yeah, I would like to do more videos like that, but I haven't yet. But I am in works with somebody to work on a project similar to that, so I'll be updating you guys on that soon.
Yeah, because that's one thing I want to do is get out there and try to interview some folks.
Yeah, did you ever see that interview with the guys that did the street on the quiz, or like quiz on the street? These Australian guys did like a Mandela effect thing on the street. I think you must have seen it, Sandy. Right?
No, I haven't.
It got taken down from YouTube, I think, but it was like 3 or 4 years ago. But yeah, they were nailing everybody on the street. They talked about it as being like a memory test and didn't mention Mandela effect. I'd like to do some sort of, I could even do a thing to draw attention and get people to come over. First off, if you go out with a camera and a good microphone and stuff, people will come over. They're like, "What? You got a YouTube channel?" They do it to me all the time. But you could offer like cash prizes if you could get half. If you could get half of these right, and nobody's going to get half of them. Nobody's even going to get more than 1 or 2 current reality if you give them like 10, right? You could offer $100 and be there all day without giving away anything and making some type of content. I've always wanted to do something like that, creative ideas like that, because we do need to mix it up a little bit. And I agree with you. Brian, I have such a hard time doing any short content. That's why I don't do a bunch of TikTok videos, even though there's so many people. I just, me, look at me. I one answer to a question, I'm talking for 10 minutes.
Well, the last question you're probably going to go on about. So this is the finale.
Sure.
Is there anything you'd like to add or show us that we didn't already address? And are there any topics or Mandela effects you'd like to show or discuss that we didn't touch upon?
Yeah, actually, I do. I do have something I'd like to show you. I know you guys probably know about it, but other people, because I think the stream's going to get a lot of views. This has been a good show.
Go full screen, Brian, so he can show everyone. Right.
One of the we talked about this Mandela effect earlier. If you ask anybody the most famous type of avocado, if you want to give them a hint, you tell them it begins with an H. They're going to tell you Hass avocados. Hass has always been Hass now. So for the people that want to say, even though you ask them, they'll tell you Hass, but then they want to go, I must have misremembered. We're all misremembering. A few things before I even get into what I'm going to show you. Why would we all put something as odd as a double A in the word that sounds like Hass? Rhymes with pass, spelled like pass, right? Why would we all misconstrue and put a double A in there? It's such an odd thing to do. But not only that, what I have here is, for whatever reason, unchanged original residue on a bag of frozen Hass avocados. This shouldn't even exist at all. Also, if you go to Walmart or Kroger's right now, and the Hass avocados are there, the stickers on them from the company will say Hass. But when you ring it up at those registers, their computer system has not taken the update yet. I'd like to talk about some other significant things. We mentioned Charles M. Schulz earlier. He's now Charles M. Schulz, the author of the Peanuts. If you ask Google by typing who's the author of the Peanuts, Charles M. Schulz, of course, it'll tell you. But if you speak it into the voice, it will repeat it back with the T in there, in which has never existed. So I just want to mention some of these significant pieces of residue that we have. We're not crazy. The people that are crazy are the people that are denying this, trying to gaslight you and tell you the Mandela effect's a psyop, but doing nothing to debunk the psyop. They're misleading you. They're not telling you the truth. It's time to take this serious. Doesn't have to be your absolute favorite topic, but it should be pretty high up on the list, I would think. Most phenomenal thing to ever happen. Matter is changing retroactively all the way back through time. Did I answer the question? Yeah. Any other Mandela effects I wanted to talk about? You have famous artwork that, with a strong message, like the creation of Adam, Michelangelo painting on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, where God would point down to man, providing the divine spark. Now God's hand is actually a bit lower. Adam's got a limp wrist thing going on. All these messages. Let's place man higher than God. This type of stuff should grab your attention. Mm-hmm. It's a big deal. It's not just about Ed McMahon and these other things, but you're not going to tell me Ed McMahon didn't go to people's doors with a giant check and balloons when they won the Publishers Clearinghouse, because I know that they did. It never happened in this reality, yet it did. Stop trying to convince yourself that you're a fool. You're only a fool if you deny that this is happening.
I agree.
I agree, too.
I agree. Speaking
Same
of
here.
paintings, our Easter show, not the original Last Supper, okay? Mm-hmm. But many depictions of the Last Supper now show, was it Peter or John? I think it was John, sleeping on the table. Do you remember that?
No. I don't remember that.
And a lot of, because you were talking about the limp wrist.
Yeah.
A lot of them show him sitting in Jesus' lap.
Oh, yeah.
Or sleeping on him.
They definitely show us these type of different agendas that are in the world throughout these Mandela effects, whether it's, whatever, transhumanism, transgenderism, COVID, all these different things that are hot topics. You see changes related to them through the artwork, through the scripture, 100%. And, I'm not judging anybody in any of those things. I'm just saying it's a fact that these things are hot topics, and you see them.
And they seem to rise to the surface right there in front of your face. So, guys, wake up, take the red pill. And anyways, Dean Johnson posts here in the chat. He says, Publishers Clearinghouse, the gospel of Christ must first be published among all nations. Mark 13:10. We are the clearinghouse and we are the publisher. Now, I do want to say that this is 100% change for me. It was preached. The gospel must be preached among all nations. It was never published. But yes, good point. Good point.
Wow, Dean, this is a good one. I like that. I mean, wow, I didn't even know about that change. Love the correlation there. That's a good one. I'm gonna have to make sure I save that and talk about that and look more at that. That's a good one. Yeah, I don't mind taking more questions from the chat, but I know you're gonna hate this, but I do have to use the restroom again. So if I can, if you want to gather a few questions from the chat while I step away for a minute, we can do that. Or did you want to wind it down?
You guys have any other questions from the chat? Now is the time. We got the last 5 minutes here to ask questions.
Go ahead, Ryan. We'll look at questions in the chat.
Yeah. All right, I'll be right back.
Jeff, are you looking at Brian's chat?
Yes.
I see all the chats, and I'm looking. I don't see anything yet. Hebreo's here. He says, "You guys are still on." Ha ha.
Hey, Hebrew.
Yes, we are. Hi, Hebrew.
Yeah, it's hard to pack something like this because I was thinking we could try to get this to squeeze it into a 90-minute video, but oh my goodness, it's chock full of information here, and the amount of questions, and the Brian doesn't just give a short answer; he gives you the full detail, and he's awesome.
Yeah.
Brian, before Brian gets back, Queen Boudica Radiant is asking me to talk about Dr. Martens. So the shoe Dr. Martens was always Doc Martens for me. That's an old Mandela effect. I found that way back in the beginning of 2018 when I was just doing stuff on Twitter. And for me, this is like an anchor memory. I used to wear Doc Martens in high school because in the 90s, the early 90s, that was the style. And I remember telling my parents, make sure it's spelled with the 2 A's because I didn't want the knockoffs. I wanted the good shoes for my birthday. And for me, I can't remember if it was the first A or the second A with the umlaut, but there was 2 A's. It was MAA, and it was Doc. It was never DR period, but it's always been DR period, and it's always been 1A. It's completely changed for me. And I do have a slideshow-like video on my channel showing residue, if you'd like to see it. It's one of the first videos I did. Okay.
Well, I am back. Let me just say something for my audience when I air this on my channels. We are live on 2 channels, so both links will be below. Sandy, DiVa, and Brian MacFarlane. Make sure you sub both of those. Hey, Brian, you mind if I screen share something real quick while you guys still gather up a few more questions, if there's any?
Sure, and also I want to share your links in the chats, and I'm going to have it posted in the description, including your Rumble. So when you get a chance, send them all to me to add to the description.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, there was. I'm going to take a screen share in 1 second. So let me I just want to bring up what I'm looking for first. I thought I had it saved, but apparently I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go to screen share now. Check this out. This is the first time I was on with Brian. It was right here. It aired on his channel. This was mirrored on mine, but look at June 15th, 2018. So almost exactly 5 years ago. This is the first YouTube video I was ever on. This was on Brian MacFarlane's channel. And let's see. Look at this, Gloria. There's me. Is that Keith, or which guy is that? Is that somebody else?
That might be Keith. Yeah.
That's oh
There's
yeah, that's
Meigs.
Keith. That's Keith, and then there's
That's Migsby.
we're Tannen.
Yep.
Help me here. What's Corey?
Corey. That is Corey. Yeah. That is Corey.
Gloria.
There's me with my sheet as a curtain. back in Centerville, you know. Who had the Darth Vader avatar? I don't remember who it was. Who else was on?
Where's mine?
Yeah,
Was that Mark?
oh, maybe it's you, Brian. I don't know. Or were you sit? No, because there's your avatar right there. You're right here. I don't know who that
mine's
is.
there.
And then there's we did a couple. There was this one, which was like a week later, a couple weeks later. And this is right when I started doing my videos for people that were wondering. But yeah, I just wanted to show that was cool. Any questions or no?
Brian, did you see any? I'm getting links.
Yeah, so people Brian, do you have your link for us in the chat? Can you post it as a comment?
I'm posting his links right now.
Oh yeah, sure.
And Sandy, post yours also, so I'll just copy and paste it and put it into the
yeah. So I can only post on Sandy's channel because I don't have a wrench on yours, Brian, but I'm posting my channels now. There's my main, and I have
that is not your fault. After Teresa's account got hacked into, she started taking wrenches and beating people with it. So I had to
it's cool.
I had to take everyone's wrenches away. Sorry, but
Now,
I gave you back a little bit. I'll give you it back.
Now we will be adding all of these links to our descriptions after the show is over. But for now, here's the
and I'll just tell people audibly real quick because as everybody knows, YouTube takes down a lot of videos, and I'm down on strikes a lot. I stream on many platforms, including Rockfin, Rumble, and Facebook all the time. Brian S. Staveley everywhere. And if you want to find any of my links, backup channels, emails, whatever, social media. If you go to doseofrealityshow.com, doseofrealityshow.com, and just click the My Links page. That's my website, and all my links are on one page.
Well, thank you very much, Brian, for taking the time to hang out with us tonight. And thank you, everyone, for being here.
Yeah, you guys are
No
amazing.
further
Thank you
questions?
so much.
All right.
And that was Damien. I thought it might have been Damien. That was Damien. That was Darth Vader. That
I had
night.
a feeling it was Damien. Yes. That's
Yes. Cool.
wow. I can't believe it's been
Cool.
that long.
Yeah. So tomorrow night at 7, I'll have John from Wake Up or Else on my channel. So we'll be getting into a lot of Mandela effect, probably Bible changes, dealing with the NPCs and a lot of other stuff. So, and Saturday I'll be on an interview. Me and Nathan Sanders are being interviewed. So once I get links, I'll make a promo video.
Brian, if you like, I can send you the spreadsheet that I have. It goes back to 2016 with all the Bible changes.
Oh, dude, yeah, that'd be really cool.
All right. What's your
Ricefoot? RICEFOOT at Gmail. Ricefoot at Gmail.
Okay. Ricefoot at Gmail. Got it.
Yep.
Oh, I can get the link to the Doc Martens video. Give me 1 second. It's the very first video I did. So it's just a slideshow with music. Just give me a heads up.
And anybody that doesn't know, Sandy DiVa has done an awakening interview on my channel. I think it's episode 20 or so. It's still on my main channel. And any video of mine that's not on YouTube, you can find on my Odysee. Odysee doesn't censor anything, and I have 2,000 videos there. 1,300 on YouTube.
On Odysee?
Mm-hmm. Everything I've ever done is on Odysee.
Now, is the copywriting pretty bad? Is it like on here, or is it better?
No, it's non-existent from what I've seen.
No copywriting?
No, nothing. I've never had any type of even notice of anything.
Okay, good.
No censorship, no copywriting. You can make playlists, and you can search the channel by video, like I did the Berenstein earlier. I went to my Odysee. I went in the search bar, clicked Berenstein, and my videos to do with Berenstein come to the top.
See, that's another thing I'm wondering is if we can if I can start streaming to Odysee also, and Rumble possibly.
You can, but not only that, the Odysee will, because you can sync your channels to like Rumble and different sites. Odysee will actually they'll go back though. They'll get all your old videos and everything and automatically do it for you. Wait,
you mean it'll back them up from YouTube?
Yep, every video that's still on your channel, it'll grab for you.
How do you do that? Is it easy?
It's pretty easy, and if it doesn't work, I can put you in touch with the the guy that runs the development team. I talk with him sometimes, and he's been very helpful to me.
Oh, good. You all hear that, right? So we may, in the future, have to switch to that platform, but it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea. We should all move our content over there as a backup, for now.
And I am on Rumble, except my channel's Mandela effect videos. It's just Mandela effect videos. I don't know how it worked.
That's
I didn't understand. Yeah, I didn't understand how it worked. So my channel is Sandy DiVa, but the Mandela effect videos, it's like a channel, like a sub channel. So if you search Sandy DiVa, you don't see my videos. But if you search Mandela effect videos, it's like the logo is the Britney Spears skirt, because I covered Britney Spears skirt changing for me from, it was plaid and now it's black. So that was the logo. That's the logo I have for the profile pic.
I can answer that question that's on the screen. So if I can screen share one more time, I think it'd be helpful. So I'll just show this guy something. Screen share, boom, boom, boom. Can you give me a screen share?
Yeah.
So when you go to my YouTube channel, which is loading right now, give me a second. Okay, this is my main channel with 14,000 subscribers. Okay, every video I do gets on the Dose of Reality show list, but I have sub lists, and I have a Mandela Effect short videos, which has 124 of what are the biggest Mandela effects to me. basically all the ones we talked about tonight, broken down in depth, the residue, the whole thing. Black Tom's right at the top of the list, and I have other videos on Black Tom. And there's this whole thing with there's many German attacks on U.S. soil now, and this whole German name changes and a lot of stuff to do with that. So I have many videos that go into that. But if you go to this playlist, you'll see that there is 124 videos on all the biggest Mandela effects, at least the ones that, from my perspective, are the biggest ones.
Well, when you say they're short videos, how long are they roughly?
Anywhere between 10 and 40 minutes.
Okay.
So that's short for me compared to my live streams, you know. I have a Bible playlist. I have Adventures of Brian and Steffi P, Unveiling This Realm with Karen B. Here's all my Mandela interviews. There's like almost 50 of them on here. You know, meetups, different topics, Agents Against Humanity, Liars in Science. Here's my Centerville Effect, personal changes. But yeah, that's about it, man.
Great. Well, you guys check it out. Sandy, will you send me all the links after the show so I can update the description?
Yep, I will definitely send you all the links.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, you guys. Have a great Mandela Effect night. God bless. Thank you, Brian, for being here, and hope to see you again real soon.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
All right, keep us
Thanks
up to
for
date,
being
man.
here.
Have a
All
good
right.
one.
Later.
Good night, everyone.
Night, everyone.
Night, everyone.